Hi, hello. My name is Steve Kaufmann, and I'm the producer of Ric Flair, Wooooo Nation Uncensored. I also run the YouTube pages for 15 plus of some of your favorite wrestling podcasts. You may have heard on Twitter that this show is going through some changes, and this week we've decided to give you a little preview of what's upcoming for the new Ric Flair show. It's going to be hosted by Conrad Thompson. It's going to have 3 formats, and one of those formats is going to be the interview format. As a sample of the interview format, I've prepared an interview with David Manning. Have a listen.
All right, we're getting rolling here on Wooooo Nation, and we are on location in Dallas again with our most requested guest. Isn't that right, Rick?
By far. I mean, we have interviewed a lot of people, but nobody has entertained our particular audience more than David Manning, the legendary referee, entrepreneur, and a man who currently, as we speak, after our night out last night in Dallas, is in hot water. David, tell the story.
Yeah, I'm making a new rule. We can drink after the podcast, but we don't go out the night before and the night after.
Tell the story. It's great.
Well, you know, we went over to Nick and Sam's, had a phenomenal dinner, by the way. That's got to be one of the best in the country.
Absolutely.
And good people we had dinner with and everything. So we came back here, decided we'd have one more drink. And you and I got back so late yesterday. I didn't get to go home and pick Terry up to bring her with me.
That would be David's fiance.
Yeah. So I called last night and I'm like, okay, I'll be home just a little bit. So Conrad, after Rick goes up to bed, says, hey, I'm going over to the club.
To the ballet.
Yeah.
Ballet.
Yeah. Why don't you come go with me? And I was like, oh, no, I got to go home. I said, but I'll give you a ride over. So I take him over.
I sold it.
Go into
The ballet.
knowing Conrad, he knew the owner and everything else. So I go in to meet the guy and everything and decide I'll have a 7-Up so that I'm capable of driving home. So I get home last night. I told Terry, boy, you missed a wonderful dinner. She said, what's that stamp on your hand? I said, I'll have to think about it and I'll tell you in the morning. So
What does the stamp say?
grade A,
USDA grade A.
USDA grade A.
Well, that's you good for hanging around Conrad.
Well, here's the way I sold it too. I
We're in
said,
David's town.
just
too.
an hour. We're only going to be an hour. 1 hour.
That's my favorite line. Just come
Just an
on.
hour.
Not to hurt, right? Your wife won't know the difference. Come on.
And he starts with just 7-Up, and then a bottle of Crown Reserve shows up.
Yeah.
Then you have to feel obligated. I mean, gosh.
Did you fly that bottle in, or someone just bringing it?
It was bottle service at the ballet.
At the ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody at the ballet in there? Dave?
I went home, 635, 75,
Yep.
stayed under the speed limit.
Yep.
My kids were all calling this morning after we talked to them yesterday.
Yep.
Rick told them I might be home by Monday.
Well, I'd always like to allow for, the variation of schedule.
Well, you know, after the last podcast, all my friends that weren't around during the wrestling years were asking me, did I go to recovery or, I'm like, no, we only drank here and there. But the most of the time when we drank was when Rick was coming through and we were partying again.
Thank you.
I used to tell people I didn't know how Rick would ever live to be the age you are, because I don't know how any human, because he would leave me and go, and the next town he had somebody else, and there he went again.
Yeah, but I have someone like you. No, with the Dallas was a little bit unique, but I couldn't wait to get here. The only other territory I had as much fun in as with Dallas as with Dave was Florida, and that just came natural. Fresh fruit everywhere.
Yeah, not everybody picked up on that, but I did. Thank you for that.
And you know more than I do because with the WWE and stuff. But I was Kevin Von Ertz's kids, Ross and Marshall were wrestling up here in Sherman, and Kevin called me, and I went up and got a chance to see the boys wrestle. And wow, you're talking about talented. I think they got Kerry and Kevin's genes put together because Marshall's about 6'5",
Wow,
probably pushing 260, and can do backflips off the ropes.
Is he going to the NXT wrestling school?
Well, they Harley. They worked with Harley,
Mm-hmm.
and they're doing most of their work over in Japan.
Oh, really? Okay.
And so Kevin had called me, would I go up and help him out with a finish? And so I went up to Sherman and got a chance. Got there, just two great looking guys.
Tell the whole story. It's great.
Well, they asked me to help them out with a finish, so I came up with a phenomenal finish for them. And I can't remember the guys they were working with, so I go up there and I lay this whole finish out. And James Beard was there refereeing, so I laid it. James says, I love it. I love it. And then I get over and tell the guys that they're going to go up against, and they're going, but we're the champions and we're not supposed to switch the belt. Like, well, that finish won't work. so we'll do another one. But they've come down here and worked a couple times, and they did.
How old are they?
To Mesquite. Let's see. Ross is a little bit younger than my son Sean, so I'm gonna say Ross has got to be around 25, 26. I'm guessing. Marshall a little younger than that. He's probably. I'd say Marshall's been out of because he was a phenomenal football player in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm saying Marshall's probably around 22, 21, 22.
He didn't play college ball?
He didn't play college ball. He actually had an academic scholarship. He could have went to, I want to say it's Army or one of them.
Yeah.
And, but they're doing great in Hawaii. You know, Kev's got a great place there in Kauai. And
I guess.
it's a phenomenal place. And he's got all the houses there. And so he had the whole family up there. You know, unfortunately, Doris passed away about.
Which I was not aware of. They told me. Wow.
Yeah,
When we had him on the
about 2 weeks
podcast,
ago.
Doris was still with us. So, yeah.
So good times, you know, Kevin. A lot of people don't know. Whenever it was right after probably Mike's death, Kevin really stepped up, you know, and was working there in the office and coming in a lot. Because up until then, you know yourself, they were on the road.
Oh, sure.
We were doing 2 shows a night.
Yeah, I know.
And then Kevin came in and started helping some with the booking. And matter of fact, he and I bought homes out in South Lake, so we'd meet at my house a lot and go over what we were gonna do then. And good times. I keep saying I'm gonna get up to Kauai. I don't know if you've been there, but man, he's got a great place. If you're
I have
out
been,
that way,
knowing Kevin, I picture a place like Tarzan's in a tree.
well, he's still barefooted.
And that's what I'm saying.
He's still barefooted.
I picture a place like Tarzan and Jane, right? In a big tree house, or like Swiss Family Robinson. That's how I see Kevin. I mean, just an outdoors guy, you know. I mean,
Well, unfortunately, I was on a cruise ship whenever they did the match here in Mesquite, and sold out. They sold out Mesquite Stadium, and
how many people?
they tell you it was still there. I want to say it was about, I would guess about 12,000,
Wow, that's
and could be 8,000.
And he managed them?
in there.
He
He managed the 2 boys, but then he came in for the big pop and the claw, and that place just, you know how.
Oh,
you
sure.
know,
I know.
people don't know how much they were over here. It was awesome.
I
It was
do.
great.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Well, go ahead, Dave. Give us the joke you gave us a little while ago before we had our first Miller Lite.
Well, I gave Rick the joke of the day. I guess we can tell this on here, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I asked him what the difference is in a tire and 365 used condoms. One's a good year and one's a great year.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wooooo Nation.
So I want to talk
The
a lot
one and
about
only David Manning and my good friend, co-host, and here in Dallas with us live, Conrad Thompson, second wealthiest man in the state of Alabama, owner of the Conrad, which now, as I have figured out, depending on where he is in life with individual women, is almost the second version of the Mustang Ranch, which is in Reno, Nevada. So Conrad Mustang Ranch, Conrad Thompson.
So
Hello.
you've actually been to both the Conrad and the Mustang Ranch.
I have.
Now, I don't know that you've talked about that before. Tell us a Mustang Ranch story.
A Mustang Ranch story. It's real simple. There's nothing wrong with it. We were in Las Vegas or in Reno for the NWA convention. Normally we had it in Vegas, but for some reason we went to Reno, and Jimmy Crockett and another person whose name I can't mention because he is still married and still alive, and I better not tell the story. We got to block it. I won't get in trouble. Yeah, he's still married. I'm not sure what to be. We'll edit this part of it. But anyway, I've been in the Mustang Ranch. I spent $2,000 back in 1981. It's a lot of money to spend.
That's a lot of money now.
Wild horses.
They have every room they have like anything you can conjure up in your mind that you might want to experience, you can experience. You got the money, honey. I got the dime.
Well, for the longest time, I never went out there, never got to go, but used to in a cab.
Mm-hmm.
You could mention the name, and they literally gave you a menu like you would have at a restaurant. It was a menu in the cab.
You walk. It's still the same way. You walk in, so to order a drink, and they hand you, and then they come out and do the circle wagon of Old Old Blue.
It's a different world now, man. They've got rolling billboards out there in Vegas now. Girls direct to your room. I mean, it's just out. It's illegal, but out in the open.
That's almost embarrassing.
It is
to think that people participate in stuff like that. Dave, what do you think?
Let me have a drink.
Hey, so something I want to talk about that we didn't capture on the podcast last night is I asked, hey, where did the Rolex thing come from in wrestling? Because it seems like everybody's got one. I mean, on down the line. And I learned something last night that I guess I should have known. But as I sit here today, you guys are both rocking gold President Rolexes. Where did that come from? Where did it originate?
The man right here.
Yeah, I just started wearing them. I don't know. When I started wearing them, they weren't 50 grand a piece. You know what I mean? They were just 35.
Yeah, don't you wish you'd have kept all the first ones? I kept trading them in like cars. You upgrade. But
well, I didn't trade mine in. I lost mine.
Would have been the best investments ever.
Sure,
You'd have just kept them back when you could buy them for $6,000 to $12,000.
Yeah, continuously put in weird circumstances where my watches would disappear. Strange.
You've got a good missing Rolex story. Is it finally time to share that on the podcast?
Let me think. It's going into the new year. I'm not married.
It involves Sabatinos, I think.
Yeah, probably pretty good. So I'm with Undertaker and Kurt Hennig, God rest his soul, and Horace Grant, who was playing for the Washington Capitals at that time, right?
Bullets.
The Bullets, Washington Bullets. And we're drinking, having a good time, and then somehow those guys went their way and I went my way, and because I had met some people during the day that I wanted to go downtown and eat with at Sabatino's, legendary, right? So I came back, and of course I went to bed, and I woke up in the morning, and there's two strangers. How they got there, I have no idea. One on each side of me, right? So I go, hey, how you doing? How are you guys? Nice to meet you. I'm Rick. They were, right? They just came in on their own, got a key from the front desk. I certainly wouldn't bring them in there. And I woke up and I went to get my stuff, and my watch was gone.
Now, these strangers, they have the female variety?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
How they got there, I have no idea. But anyway, so I go to the girls. I go, I'm sorry, I don't know you guys, but I've just seen my watch. And they said, no. I said, come on, this is not funny. It's a very expensive watch. And they said, well, we didn't take it. Said you threw it in a bowl of spaghetti last night at Sabatino's and said you had 11 more of them, so what the hell? So knowing that I couldn't call the cops because it probably would have created a little, animosity at home, even though I didn't do anything.
No, of course not.
Just innocently found a victim again, and
you gave refuge to some strangers.
I gave refuge to strangers, right? I mean, sometimes you just can't turn people down, right?
Sure, yeah.
Send them out in the cold. I mean, you can't have, right?
No.
It was November in Baltimore.
It's very charitable of you, Rick.
So anyway, Earl Hebner, I went down and went through the dumpster looking for my watch in Sabatino's, and of course, I called Kurt Hennig. I said,
really process what you just said. Ric Flair, the world champion, is dumpster diving.
Yeah, dumpster diving, looking for a $40,000 Rolex, right? Because I had to go home the next day to Thanksgiving without my Rolex. So I called Kurt Hennig. I said, Kurt, I'm going to be to Cincinnati late. I lost my watch. These chicks stole it. What the hell? What can I do? So he said, okay, I won't tell anybody. I said, please don't tell anybody. So bingo, I look at what, can't find it. Get to Cincinnati. I walk in the door. Knobs hollers at me, hey, Flair, what time is it? Thanks, Kurt. Of course. So then after the matches that night, the next day I had to fly to Philadelphia, 8 a.m., call my friend Robbie Kainoff, go into a jewelry store there and buy a brand new watch. It was identical except for the fact that it had baguettes instead of the regular diamond face, right? Same bezel.
Squares instead of...
Yeah, so I'm sitting at Thanksgiving dinner, Megan, David, and Beth and whoever else was there, and Megan goes to me, Dad, you got a new watch? I said, no. What are you talking about? It's not the same watch. I said, yes, it is. and she wouldn't stop. And I was like, "Oh, Dad, come on, you can tell us. It's free."
And this is at the Thanksgiving table.
At my house for Thanksgiving. Yeah, she's wearing me out about my new watch. So finally, Beth goes, "You gonna watch?" I said, "No." Then came that look. What have you done? Nothing. I know nothing. To this day, I haven't been it. You can't tell the truth. You know that.
How great is that?
Yeah.
The world champion. Don't
I
turn out.
wouldn't have wanted to yank her a scholarship.
Yeah. One night, I lost my wedding ring.
Oh, I did that.
This was one of my exes.
I've done that
So my
several
ex
times.
didn't believe me. She didn't believe me at all. And she was like, you threw it away. You didn't wear it. You didn't blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I really did lose it. And so we go out and we buy a brand new one. Well, going into the ring, you never wore the ring in the ring because in case you break your finger or something, you can't get it off. So I take it off, put it in my pocket. I've only had it 2 days. So this is Monday night. We're at World Rogers Coliseum.
Yeah.
I come back, I'm getting dressed. I put my shoes on.
Was I with you? It wasn't me that night.
No. So I reach in the pocket, pull the ring out, and I drop it. And it's rolling, like it's just rolling across the floor. So Bill Irwin's standing there, and he turns around and sees it. He thinks it's a coin and stomps it to stop it.
Wow.
He mashed that summit so flat. I mean, it's like mashed together, and I'm like, shit, she's never believing that. Yeah. 2 days I had it.
Well, some people just aren't meant to wear rings. I mean, I've lost a few wedding rings too. I assure you.
We were talking last night, and David, you started talking a lot about the Yellow Rose of Texas and what a big event that was when they wrestled in the Cowboy Stadium all those years ago. But you mentioned something that I don't think a lot of people know, and that's how popular the merchandise was in World Class. And just in that particular show, what programs were and all those details that I think a lot of people maybe don't give World Class credit for.
Oh, I handled all the souvenirs, as Rick knows. And, I mean, it was such a money-making machine. Back then we'd buy the color pictures of mainly the Von Erichs, obviously, but we had the color pictures started out of them. I could buy them for 24 cents. On the high day, 26 cents, and we sold them for $3 back then. And then when Iceman and gentleman Chris Adams and all the baby faces started really getting popular here, it turned into a major business. The Yellow Rose of Texas, we did a special a program, had the big Yellow Rose and David Von Erich and the whole memory, the jacket, the whole works. And at Texas A&M, we sold $102,000 just of programs.
How much for the programs?
The programs were $2.
Wow.
$2.
Yeah.
We sold 50-something thousand.
That's amazing.
And not to mention the pictures. And then we had these badges. One of the hottest things was buttons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would buy those buttons, and it would just be a snapshot of something going on in the ring or something. Sunshine. You wouldn't believe how much stuff we sold of Sunshine when she was popular.
Yeah.
And then the Birds came.
Yeah.
And the Birds kind of switched everything because for the first time they came here as baby faces because when Michael came, but then it's like we got, 6 top.
Yeah.
In order to make money here, you had to come in as a heel if you really wanted to make money because you wanted to work against Von Erichs. And it was the perfect matchup when they came, but they were the first ones, even when they turned heel, they had a huge following.
Oh, of course.
So we would sell a lot of their merchandise. Kabuki, we sold a lot of
they
Kabuki.
were like the modern day NWO.
Exactly.
Do you think they were really like the first cool heel gang, like cool heel faction that was selling merchandise like that? And was that popular? Because that was a couple of years even before the Horsemen, right?
It was, and they had some of their own stuff because when they came in, they were working with a guy named Jimmy Papa here, and they did the back then the CD,
The album.
the album. They did the album, Bad Street USA, Last House on the Right.
Michael can really sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, we used to do radio shows here in Dallas. We would do the radio shows for Cliff, and we would go in, and they get Michael. Michael, Hayes has got that voice.
Oh, I know.
Like a DJ. I mean, he's got that.
Absolutely.
Baby's got her blue jeans on.
So he would crank it
Down
out.
in the corner.
But it was huge business. The souvenirs, I mean, and what we could have done with it, because we just started putting it. Actually, the guys, I can't remember the name of the store. There were some guys that had a hot franchise that was coming out with all the new. It would be. I would have to compare it to the store that carries all the hot Levi's and the different kind of stuff. But they came in and wanted to market for us and take it. Back then, the internet was just coming around,
Yeah.
and they wanted to sell on TV, which we had never done. You know, Kevin and I, we tried our best to get Fritz to pay per view the Texas Stadium show.
Wow.
And no telling what it would have done, because we had people from all over the world writing in, trying to get here, and then plus the fact at that time, that was the biggest wrestling event that had ever been held in the U.S.
Oh, yeah. What was it, 68,000?
Actually paid, it was 40-something thousand, because
Okay.
the stadium only held 60,000.
Okay.
So we had everything but pretty much that far in and the top.
Mhm.
And it stayed that way. That stayed the record until Vince did the Canadian show,
Yeah.
the WrestleMania there.
Yeah. Well, the one in the one in Michigan was first, and then Toronto was second.
Yeah. Up until here, Watts had the record for at the Superdome.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
He had the JYD, the dog.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrestled Terry Taylor that night, and Muhammad Ali was the referee. Pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
What, did Terry Taylor spend any time on World Class?
Yeah, he came in a couple of times, but he never really spent, any time here. It would just be like we had a big show we brought in when we started doing the Thanksgiving reunion arenas and the Christmas Day reunion arenas. We would have different stars come in. The one match I always wanted to put together that I think we could have probably sold out whatever we wanted to sell out was I wanted to put the Warriors and Kevin and Kerry together.
Oh, yeah.
The Road Warriors.
Yeah.
I mean, but they were hot. I
Yeah.
mean, everybody was
sure.
afraid of them. Their gimmick was
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we couldn't figure out how we'd do the match without them killing each other.
Yeah. No, they were big time players. Mike and Joe were really a big part of the NWA
Absolutely.
and early WCW.
And AWA, and I mean, everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
They were a
Yeah,
big
they were
deal
great.
everywhere.
Good workers too.
We actually went to Twitter and asked some folks if they had any questions for you, David, because you've been, like we said, our most requested guest. We got one from Brendan Smith. Were you, Rick, or David Manning ever concerned about working with Kerry when he was quote unquote altered? Was that something that was a routine or regular concern, or not so much?
No, not really.
We dealt with it.
Huh? Yeah.
We dealt with it.
You dealt with it, and it a lot of times it was overblown.
Yeah. And he was always very safe. I can say this regardless of whether I liked it or not. He was a nice kid. We all knew there was an issue, but he was, no matter what happened, he was very safe with me. And I let him press slam me, slam me off the top, suplex me. It just, the disappointing part for me is that he could have been, he could have been anything he wanted to be.
Right.
So if I walked away from it, it wasn't because we weren't sold out. It wasn't because it was painful or hard, because I was with David having a good time.
Sure.
I was sold out because I felt bad that he wasn't going to get what he deserved in terms of his athletic ability. I mean, he was a world-class discus thrower in college.
Yeah.
Right behind Mac Wilkins. You can look it up. He threw it, 198 feet or 208 feet at the University of
The
Houston.
record would have went to the Olympics, but that's the year they boycotted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he had phenomenal
Yeah.
athlete. I mean,
Fritz held the record at SMU for years throwing the discus.
Wow.
Yeah. So he personally helped Kerry. They had a ring right there at the ranch out in Lake Dallas, and Kerry would throw out there. And Brian Adias, Brian Gower, Brian would go over there and throw with him. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about them. They were David was phenomenal at basketball.
Right.
Could have went on and played college ball. Kevin was
North Texas
the
State.
strongest as a freshman. Was the strongest on campus on the football team, and the fastest, and was a running back. And then, unfortunately, never even got to do anything because first of all, he tears the left knee, or might have been his right knee, tore all the ligaments. Back then, you had to have the knife.
Right.
So he's laid up for almost 3 months, and then he turns around 2 months back and tears the other one.
Yeah. He was in North Texas State, home of Mean Joe Green.
Yeah.
And that's where Steve Austin played too,
Mhm.
right?
Steve Austin. Yeah, that makes sense.
North Texas State, yep.
Brian Lee on Twitter writes in, ask David Manning the biggest rib from the Freebirds. There had to be some good Freebird ribs back in the day.
Gosh. Well, as I told last time, what they would always do with Buddy, I mean, their ribs were mostly always on Buddy. Poor Buddy. I mean, they just beat the hell out of him. And, if he got drunk and passed out, he's liable to show up with marks a lot all over his face and his eyes. And I'll tell you the best one. The best rib the Freebirds did was they're going to wrestle in the Superdome. They're leaving here. Terry and Michael are driving. Buddy's flying. Buddy's actually flying in and coming in with Bill Watts. And so the match is going to be Buddy, Terry, and Michael against Bill Watts. I can't remember the other two people that were on Bill's team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the Dome, it's a big match. Well, as this is summertime, driving through Louisiana, the temperature is probably 110.
Yep.
Michael sees a possum on the side of the road, dead.
Oh.
Well, they've got Buddy's bag.
Oh.
So they stop, they take the possum and they put it in Buddy's bag. And they zip it up and they put it in the trunk.
Oh, wow.
Now they drive for like 12 hours
that thing's
to get to the Dome. And I mean, it's over 100 degrees. And you got to know Buddy to understand the joke. So they're in the dressing room.
I know.
I wasn't there, but they're in the dressing room and it's packed because they had like a 50-man battle royal. So the dressing room is packed, both the dressing rooms. Buddy reaches and gets the bag. Now, I don't know how many people out there have ever smelled death.
Oh.
But Buddy unzips the bag and literally guys are throwing up. They're running out of the room. And Buddy just sits there like nothing's wrong, reaches and gets the possum, goes over and puts it in the can, puts his clothes on.
That were in the bag.
And so then they got to have the match. And so they go out to the ring and they put Buddy on one side of the corner and Michael and Terry get on the other side because they don't want to stand next to him.
Sure.
And so Gordy starts the match and he and Michael are tagging it out. Well, as soon as Watts tags in, they tag Buddy in. And Buddy goes and ties up with Bill Watts and Bill Watts says, "What the F?" And just throws Buddy through the ropes and is looking like, what the hell's happened to him?
That is awesome.
Poor Buddy guy.
Talking about in-ring stuff, on the way to dinner last night, David, you shared a story about the time you refereed a match between Sting and Rick, and I thought that was priceless.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hadn't seen him in quite a while, and I came through. And,
Sting, you mean?
Yes, I hadn't seen Sting in a while. I'd seen Rick, and so we get in the ring, and I'm looking at Sting. Well, to me, it looked like he had lost weight.
Yeah.
Well, saying something like that to one of the guys that's working out every day.
Yeah.
So anyway, I walked over to Rick. He's in the corner, and I looked at him, and I said, "Has Sting lost weight?" He goes, "Call us to the middle. Hurry, call us to the middle." So I go to the middle of the ring, and I said, "Both of you come to the middle." So Sting comes to the middle, and Rick's got his finger out like he's talking to him, and Rick says, "Manning wants to know if you've lost weight."
Of course I did. Don't give me an opportunity to seize the moment. Well, give us that a joke. Come on.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on.
Well, I told him last night if you like to play golf,
Mm-hmm.
two guys are playing golf.
Yeah.
So they're on the fairway and they tee off and they get stuck behind these two women. God, the women are playing slow and they keep thinking, oh, they'll let us play through. So finally they get to this long par 5 and the two women hit down the middle and they're down there messing around. And so one of them said, that's it. I'm going to go down and I'm going to tell them we're playing through. And the other guy's like, go tell them. So he walks all the way down to the fairway. He gets about halfway there. He turns around and comes back. And the guy said, you tell him? He goes, Jesus, one of them's my wife. The other one's my girlfriend. He goes, oh, shit, you stay here. I'll go tell him. So the guy goes down, comes back. He goes, did you tell him? He goes, what a coincidence.
That is awesome.
I can't take it. I could do this all day long. Anytime I'm stressed out, I just leave.
Call David Manning.
Call David Manning.
He used to do that.
Yeah.
He used to do that. I'd be there. Dave, I'm here with so-and-so. Here, give us one.
I couldn't remember the jokes. I mean,
Sure.
if he would get on a plane, he would crack the flight attendants up telling them jokes. That was unreal. He told us one today we can't tell him the podcast.
Tell the story at dinner last night when we're talking about real estate and.
Okay, so we're having dinner with my friend Chris here in Dallas that owns Fishbones, really popular restaurant. right across the street from the AT&T Stadium. We're going to the game tonight.
Cowboy Stadium. Yeah.
Going to Cowboy Stadium. We're going to go see Alabama Roll Tide versus Michigan State. David and I and Conrad and our spouses. And so Chris says to David, hey, I got a hunk of real estate right next to where my place is, and he would be interested in investing in it. And so David goes, yeah, I might look at it. He said, I said, David's got the money to do everything he wants to do. So David takes out the credit card. He throws him the platinum, right?
Yeah, first I throw the platinum American Express.
Platinum, and he goes, okay, and then he throws them.
No, he says, you don't have black, so then I pull the black out. I throw the black. So then Conrad starts throwing credit cards.
No, then he goes,
Yeah.
I want to hear the tin one. So after I've got 20 credit cards on a table with about $30 million worth of credit on them, right? All of a sudden, David takes out 5,000 cash and what's on the table, right? And then he goes to my friend Chris. Don't make me go to my left pocket. Oh, it's been hilarious. God, what a time we're having.
Absolutely. Don't make me go to my left pocket. It's probably my second favorite.
Oh, God.
Deal.
The other joke he told today is my favorite.
Yeah, that's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, we can't tell the kids. I'm sorry.
Marv on Twitter asked a great question that I'm sure there's a fun story about. At the Sportatorium, there was the little crowd crossing rope, and then there was a fan who kind of jumped over that and into the ring with Big John Studd when he was under a hood. Do you remember that? Is there a fun story with that?
The only thing that was fun about people jumping in the ring, because you know what happens back then, and I don't know, it may be the same way now. It was really bad because if a guy jumps in the ring, the baby face really can't do anything to him.
You got it.
But he'll get the heat. So guess who gets to beat him up? Me. So I always got excited when somebody jumped in the ring. You know, one night somebody jumped in on Buddy Roberts and they just jumped on him. And I guarantee the guy's got a cauliflower ear because I waffled him in the ear solid about 10 straight times, you know. And, you know, Big John Studd, though, anybody jumps in the ring, he was a big guy.
Yeah.
The best one was Kamala. Kamala was wrestling. And when he first came in here, Kamala goes outside the ring and some guy runs up behind Kamala. And I don't think the average fans realize how hard it is in the ring. You know, everybody thinks, oh, it's padded.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Some rings, as you know, have no pads.
Mm-hmm.
The ropes alone hitting that steel cable for a person that's never done it, it hurts like hell.
Well, it'll bruise them like nobody's business.
But plus, they're used to just taking punches after punch after punch. Well, Kamala goes outside the ring. Guy runs up behind him with a wooden chair, smashes it on his back.
Mm-hmm.
And it would almost be like someone that gets bit by a mosquito.
Yeah.
Kamala just kind of flinched and then turns around.
Yeah.
And the guy runs like hell.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
That's what we do for a living. They don't get it.
if you jump in the ring, it was not good because they would make an example out of you.
Yeah.
You know, especially the hill.
Yeah, in the Carolinas, in the South, where it happened all the time, they were really rough on the guys that got in the ring.
Really?
Real bad, yep.
Marv, who's obviously a big world-class fan, sent a lot of great questions in. This is probably one you'll like, David. Are there any examples you can list of Fritz's generosity to common people who were non-wrestlers?
Yeah. Well, Fritz, we took 10% of everything that come through here and we put it in a fund. And Fritz was real involved with the church out there in Lake Dallas. And so especially around Christmas time, he wouldn't give people money, but he might take them and buy groceries, stuff like that. But we bought, when we were doing the Easter Seals telethon every year, we actually bought a whole wing out there, a playground that's, till this day, it's called the David Von Erich wing.
Oh, cool.
And after David died, that's what we did. We bought a wing out there for Easter Seals for the kids to play on with some specialty type swings and stuff.
Yeah.
But Fritz was, you know more than I as far as paying out, but you know, seemed as though he paid out pretty good. Most of the boys like their checks when they come through here.
Yeah.
But he was a hard guy to work for.
Yeah.
You know, my job, you know, when I first started, but by the time it was all said and done, I was Fritz's right-hand guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I would either talk on the phone or I'd go meet him every Thursday and we would literally go over what took place in the booking meetings. And he kind of stayed on top of everything through me, but it was hard for me to delegate to other people. things that I needed done.
Yeah.
Because if Fritz told you something he wanted done and you delegated it and it didn't get done, he could care less who you delegated to.
Yeah.
You were answering to Fritz.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I was fired more than 2 times just because of the man sitting next to me, Ric Flair, coming down. You know, Fritz, the last time he looks at me and he says, "Look at me. You are not Ric Flair's personal freaking," he used a different word, "chauffeur."
You weren't. We just had fun.
Oh, we did have fun.
Oh,
Did
God.
we tell the Rambo story on the last podcast?
Oh, just around.
This is a classic. It never gets old. We got to share this one.
Well, Rick comes to town and Lex Luger after the matches. So Luger, Rick, and
Yeah, Ron is long gone now.
we get a limo, and we had the limo. We left reunion. So we go down to Luger wanted to go to the $1 Million Saloon. He'd heard about the $1 Million Saloon, which was a big strip point downtown, one of the biggest, nicest. So we go down there and we go.
Did I ever go in?
Yeah,
You waited in the car.
yeah. You were dumpster diving.
Dumpster dive.
You were passing us out.
But so we get down there and there's 3 guys all night long that are heckling us, and they're really heckling Rick. And you know, every time, because it was funny because the girl that was serving us, Rick's convinced he's going to get her to take her top off. She won't do it. So every time she comes, he's like, there's a table and he keeps laying $100 bills out. Right there, honey, right there, take it off. She's like, no, I can't do it. So then she'd bring us another shot and she'd have a shot and Rick, he'd be added to the pile. Now there'd be like $600 bills. Come on. She said, oh, I can't do it. Well, finally he's got over $1,000 out there and here come all the other girls and they're looking at her. Are you crazy? Take the top off. So she ended up getting the money. But anyway, we go to leave and I would say, luckily we had a driver. So we go out and as we're leaving, I don't remember what was said, but as Luger had already got in, Rick had already got in the limo. I get in the limo and just as I get in, the one loudmouth says something and I don't know what it was, but it just kind of set me off. So we get in and back then I had the watch, the nugget, the gold nuggets, the change, $20 gold.
He had his Mr. D kit on.
Yeah. Starter kit.
And so all of a sudden I start taking all this stuff off and laying it on the seat. And I look at Rick and I said,
And I thought he was just kidding. I mean, I didn't know he just, I mean, I've seen him do it before, but I thought, God, no way he's going to go out here. Sure enough.
so I'm like, this is for you, Rick. So I get out and they're kind of down this little hill, probably about 20, I'm going to say 25, 30 feet away. So the loudmouth is in the middle. Guy to the left's pretty good size. The guy to the right's a little smaller. So as I'm walking towards them, I'm kind of talking as if we're going to talk, but I'm already analyzing that I used to wear this big Texas nugget ring. So I'm just thinking I'm going to waffle this guy that's loudmouth. And then I'm going to headbutt this one on the left. And then I'm going to kick this one on the right. So I've got it all built out in my mind, right? So I get down there, bam, sure enough, I deck this guy from the front, headbutt this one. Not enough time to get the kick. This guy punches me and the fight's on. So the 3 of them were fighting and we fight all the way back up. You know, I got 6 fists coming from everywhere. We fight all the way back to the limo. We're behind the limo and Luger and Rick get out. And I'm like, no. You guys can't interfere till after round 2.
David was doing real good. He wasn't. He was backtracking, but he wasn't giving ground.
So I said, you guys can't.
I was laughing because Luger didn't know him. I said, I told you he's crazy.
So I said, you guys can interfere after round 2. So just as I go to plow into him again, I look and here comes the police. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So I go get in the car and the limo's pulling out and all of a sudden we hear on the window. So we roll the window down, the cop pointing at me and he's like, come out here. So I get out of the car. He says, I'm going to have to put you under arrest. And so he arrests me and the 3 guys and he puts them in the back of the car. Well, the one guy that I hit, I caught him good with the ring. He is split wide open over his, his eyebrow. And so here we go downtown. I'm in the front seat. We're going downtown. The limo's following.
I had forgotten this story.
So we go all the way down to the police station, and I have to go in. I have to get, go through all the crap and the pictures. And so the cop comes in. He says, hey, the Ric Flair and them are out there waiting on you. And
of course we were.
Yeah, he said, here's the deal. When you go to court, I have to be there. You tell the judge it was self-defense. These guys jumped you, because he said there's no judge in the world going to think you were dumb enough to go jump on 3 guys. And he said, I'll back you up. And he did. I went to court, didn't get in any kind of trouble.
We bailed out. Away we went.
That's awesome.
Had a big meeting the next day, met my friend Brian Dorsey. That's how first time I met him. I said, I have your shirt. I got to go to a meeting. He said, what the hell happened to you? My shirt was all ripped, and oh, Jesus, I looked like I'd been in a freaking, I wake up, I'm in Ric's room, sleeping on the floor. And I'm thinking, what the hell happened? I'm looking at my face, and
Lots of people wake up in your room with no idea what happened.
I know, including myself.
but it was fun. So from that point on, when I show up at the matches, it was Rambo.
Rambo. It was,
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
hey, you got to tell the story. He doesn't know the story. And it's not one that's going to embarrass you, but it's fabulous. About a fighting with the guy over the
Parking space.
parking space. The guy karate kicked you. No, God, this is great. This is when he was hustling in the bowling alley.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a couple of buddy of mine. They we ride up there, and Bobby's in the front seat with me. And so anyway, I pull in to Chili's parking lot, and this was when I'm 28, 29 years old, 27. I pull in. There's a guy backing out of a parking place. So he backs out a little bit, and I'm just going to wait on that space. It's kind of crowded, and so I'm waiting. Well, he backs out, and he stops. Starts backing out, and he stops. And I'm like, what the heck? And he backs out,
Right.
but he's looking at me the whole time. And I'm like, just chilling. I'm talking to my friends. And so finally, he backs out, and out of the blue, he just gets out of his car, and kind of a Oriental-looking guy, and he's like, you got a problem? And I'm looking at him like, I'm looking at my buddies, and Bobby's like, kick his ass, Dave, kick his ass, Dave, And I'm like, well, what the hell? I'm like, I get out, and I'm like, I just want the parking place. And he all of a sudden gets all obnoxious on me. So I'm like, okay, I will kick your ass. So I start walking towards him, and shit, all of a sudden he's like Jackie Chan. This guy comes flying through the air and gives one of these side kicks, and he caught me right in my solar plex and knocked the wind out of me.
Right.
I mean, and when that happens, you feel like you're dead.
Absolutely.
You can't breathe. You can't get a breath. I literally just went face down on the concrete, and I remember seeing his license plates as he drove off. So I don't know. I guess he was just setting me up or whatever, but it was not cool in front of my buddies.
I love that. Not cool in front of my buddies. Marv wrote some more great questions about world class. Specifically, this is a fun one. Any stories about Missy Hyatt or Sunshine? He says more about after that, but I'll delete that part. We won't reference that. But Missy came up here, right?
Yeah, Missy Hyatt was here. What a trip she was. It became major drama because first, when Sunshine came, she was the valet for Jimmy Garvin.
Right.
Then Jimmy Garvin brings in Precious, which was his wife.
Right.
But Sunshine was actually a true relative.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they end up getting into it for real. I mean, it's like, I'll never forget in Lawton, Oklahoma, we had a cage match that night. And so Garvin, Precious, Sunshine, and Chris Adams, they're going to go at it. And I'm trying to have a talk with the girls backstage. Look, let's just have a good match.
Sure.
Oh, hell. As soon as her and Precious got in the ring, it was true flat-ass cat fight. I mean, they were yanking hair, pulling. But I guess the best Missy Hyatt story was we're at Texas Stadium. She was seeing John Tatum. She was also kind of like his valet.
Right.
And Missy Hyatt and Sunshine are going to do a mud match. And so here we've got this huge, kind of like a rubber container we had bought.
Years before the Attitude Era, I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we filled it with mud, and the mud they used was so slimy, it was crazy. It was like super slippery. And so John Tatum's wearing this really nice jogging suit. I mean, it's like, probably $150, $200 jogging suit. It's really nice. So he's telling everybody, do not get the mud on me. So we go out there and I go out there and I'm going to referee, but Rick Hazard was refereeing. I came out when Tatum was trying to interfere. So I come out and I'm in a jogging suit. So I go out and I hit the ring and oh my God, Missy Hyatt and Sunshine are covered from head to toe in this mud. Well, they had it figured out that when I got there, they're going to throw me in the mud. When I'm already dressed, I've got, my clothes, my wallet. So Tatum all of a sudden comes from behind, gets me, and is going to throw me in the mud. And I'm like, I'm telling you, don't do it. And it's a true fight to get me in the mud. Well, I'm like, fine. If I'm going, I grab that brand new jogging suit he had on, and we all go in the mud. And this is at Texas Stadium, Missy Hyatt and Sunshine.
Oh, yeah.
And so pretty soon we get to the dressing room, and all I can hear is I'm in the shower trying to get the mud off of me. And all I can hear is Missy Hyatt. And she's like, I can't see anything. I can't see anything. And I turn around and here's naked Missy Hyatt covered with mud from head to toe.
How was that?
Good back then. And John Tatum trying to wash the mud off of her. And it took forever to get the mud off of her.
Yeah, sure.
But
he was washing the mud off of her.
He took his time.
In Israel, we went there during Passover. And so you couldn't have a fire, people just didn't work. Well, after about 4 days, every day we're eating eggs, raw, the boiled and all of this stuff and cheeses and fish. And so all of a sudden I get a phone call. You got to come over here. Missy Hyatt's throwing a tantrum. And they had invited him to this special dinner with the rabbis and all this. Well, as she's going through the line, all of a sudden out of nowhere, she just jumps up, starts throwing her food. I want a McDonald's burger. I'm tired of this shit, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. And I got to go over there and deal with it, and that's when all the boys actually went in. I get up the next morning. I can't find any of the boys. And the guy comes, oh my God, they're in the kitchen. They had literally gone back in the kitchen and told everybody, get out. We can cook.
Is that right?
Oh yeah. All the boys, they had eggs and bacon and
wow.
Jesus.
And I walked in there, Manny, we're going to eat. Don't say a word.
That's great.
That's the trip Chris Adams. We'll tell the Chris Adams story when I had to get him out of the country.
Yeah.
That trip, the Hills were staying at one hotel. We were staying over at the Plaza. And so I get a call, and because I always got the calls. You got to get over here. Chris Adams beat up the bartender. So I go to the other hotel. Well, when I get there, there's an ambulance there and all this kind of crap. Well, Chris, the super kick was a shoot.
Yeah.
I mean, he was really good. His brother was Olympic judo.
Yeah.
So Chris had got intoxicated, got in an argument with the bartender, and super kicks him. And the way he super kicked him, it knocked his eye out.
Oh my!
I mean, for real, came out. And then Chris just continued to beat him up.
Wow.
And so I get Chris, take him back over to the other hotel. So I can't remember this guy that he got in the fight with was, over there you got like different tribes or different things that people are part of, the Arabs, and so anyway, whatever they were, they believed in, no pun intended, an eye for an eye. So
wow.
They weren't going to take it. They didn't care about the police or anything. So Avi Friedman comes to me and he's like, you got to get Chris out of here. They're going to come lock him up. Well, when you arrive there, they take your passports and they lock them in the damn safe. So Avi says, I can't help you, but you got to get Chris out of here. And he said, I'm just saying this, tonight the safe will be open.
Yeah.
So I go get Chris. I said, we got to get out of here. I said, so we get the flight booked. So literally at like 12 o'clock at night, we sneak out of I sneak down to the hotel. I go behind where they check you in, go back in the back. I go in where all the passports are at. I get Chris's passport, bring it out. He and I go out. We get a cab. We walk down the road a little bit, got a cab. We go to the airport, and we don't know if he's locked into the country or not. So we get to the airport. We go in. I watch him go all the way through, and once he gets through security and is gone, well, now I got to haul ass back because we're getting close now to 4 a.m. I got to go all the way from the airport back to the plaza in Tel Aviv. So I go back. I get there park down the street, come back, go up to my room, get in my room, and I haven't been in my room 30 minutes till there's a knock on the door. Open the door, and here's police. And they're like, you know where Chris Adams is? I'm like, no, I've been sleeping. And we literally got him out of the country within about 30 minutes, or he might have never left that country.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was bad.
Yeah. We wonder why wrestling has a bad reputation in some places.
Yeah.
We've made some disastrous, so that we have left some places in disastrous
You made an
conditions.
impression.
Huh?
Made an impression.
Yeah. Jesus.
So we were talking about world champions last night here at the bar, and you brought up Lou Thesz. And I don't think we've talked about Lou a lot on the podcast, and both of you guys had experience with Lou, and Danny Hodge came up.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about Danny Hodge or Lou Thesz.
Well, I knew them both. And I actually, of course, I never wrestled either one of them. But I was fortunate enough that they both liked me.
Right.
And we were talking about really tough guys in the business, you know, and the difference between now and then and all that. Like for Lou Thesz, he was a world champion, but it was not a work. Lou thought he could beat anybody, right?
He took on all comers.
All comers, and the guys were afraid of him. He was tough.
Yeah.
Danny Hodge the same way, but Danny was easy going. Danny was just, but Danny Hodge was double tough, man.
Yeah, crush apples with his hands, break
No, more
pliers.
than that. He could
Pliers.
break a pliers.
He had double tendons.
Yeah, the apples, forget that. When he could take a pliers and crush the handles, twist off a shower knob in the shower. I mean, he with his grip. I mean, we got disqualified in the Olympics for breaking the Russian's arm with his grip.
And with Thesz, you know, see, when I first got into business, Danny Pletchus, Bulldog Danny Pletchus, was working actually on the office side, but he would still work a little bit. But Pletch used to travel with Thesz all over the world, and Thesz would take on all comers. So if there was anybody that thought they could beat Lou Thesz and they were a tough guy or whatever, no problem, book the match. Well, after Thesz kind of started getting on up in age a little bit, what they would do is Pletchus, if they thought they had a ringer coming in that he might have trouble with, they would have Pletchus wrestle him the night before and beat the hell out of him.
Wow.
You know, and then because Pletchus was another guy that was tougher than nails.
Yeah.
You told a great story last night, David, about Harley Race with a bunch of bikers who thought they were badasses at a show, and he and Harley approached them. Share that story with us.
Yeah, Iceman, King Parsons, who was a big star here, Ice told me that he was up working for Don Owens in Portland. And so after the matches were over, I guess these bikers, and I don't know what group it was, you know, back in the 80s, you had the Hells Angels, you had others. But anyway, these bikers were there, and they were up causing some trouble with a couple of the boys. And Harley saw it. And so Harley walked down to the ring in his flip-flops. He had his flip-flops on. He'd been in a shower, walks down, just got a little pair of tights on, and walks up to the bikers and out of nowhere says, "So you guys are tough guys, huh?" And he said, "Which one's the toughest? Why don't you go a couple of minutes with the world champion?" So one of them steps up. "Look, I can kick your ass." So they get in the ring. I mean, within instant, Harley gut punches him, kicks him, pulls his head down, gets him in a front face lock, lifts up so hard the guy peed himself.
Wow.
Yeah. So Harley was tough.
Yeah.
But Harley what Harley did, a couple times I've seen it, they never got through the ropes. The minute they bent over, they were coming through the ropes, just in case. They never got their head straightened up, man.
Yeah.
And he was left-handed. They never saw it coming, man. And he was mean. Wow. Yeah, the greatest story that I've ever seen and witnessed was one night this karate guy in West Palm Beach challenges Harley. Comes in every week, right? So the guy comes through the ropes, Harley nails him, boom, kicking his butt. So 4 more guys jumped in the ring. Larry Henning was there that night, Kurt's father, right?
Yeah.
He takes a tube sock and puts a hockey puck in, right? He runs down to the ring, swinging this damn thing, right? It comes, this is a grand, I've never told this story. He gets in the ring, here's Larry, 305, 330 pounds, right? He's swinging his damn sock. It came all the way around, hit him right in the head, knocked him out. Knocked him to his knees. Oh yeah. Harley didn't, but Harley, make no mistake, Larry Henning was tough too.
Absolutely.
Really tough. Yeah.
Funnier than hell too.
Yes. Great guy. I had hoped he'd come to Minneapolis last week at Raw, but Joel Kurt's son said that he just had too much going on. Apparently Joel's grandmother was not feeling well. So, but Larry Henning's a classic.
I saw his induction at the Cauliflower Alley, and man, he was the highlight.
Yeah.
He had him rolling.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. Yep, fearless.
Great question here again from Marv, who's obviously a huge world-class fan. I wanted to know a little bit about the Brian Adidas and Von Erich story. Do you know the history behind that?
Yeah, Brian, it was Brian Gower was his real name. Still a very good friend of mine. Brian and Kerry grew up together, played football together at Lake Dallas, same grade, worked out together. And so when Kerry got in the business, it wasn't long after he brought Brian into the business. And so Brian came in as a baby face, and we called him Brian Adidas. And worked good, was always obviously, in the middle, semifinals, stuff like that, and great athlete. And then we got a pretty good run out of it when he turned on Kerry, because here they were. And the people here, and I always say this is what made world class so different. The fans saw the Von Erichs grow up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I mean, all the way back when Fritz would come to the ring and he'd have him, and Kevin wasn't more than, 6th grade, 5th grade. So all of these people out there, they lived it. I mean, these were like their boys.
Yeah.
And so as they grew up, and then when they broke into the business, and like Brian Adidas, that was the best run he got, because he became a heel. He teamed up with Chris Adams. Matter of fact, one of the big matches we had here was Chris Adams and Brian Adias. Again, no, I'm wrong. That was Gino Hernandez and Chris. We did that match
Well, you guys had a major run of stars come through this territory. My God, David, you saw it all.
We did huge. Online, they still, you go online, you see all the stuff on YouTube. I don't know how they get it.
Yeah.
Somebody was watching the match the other day. I refereed with, it was Chris and Gino against Kevin and Kerry, and we were in Will Rogers Coliseum for the big one.
Yeah.
Actually, no, we were in Fort Worth Convention Center for the big one, and it's where I took a bump and hung my neck in the ropes.
Yeah.
And,
Dory Funk.
Yeah, so I hung my neck in the ropes, and I'll never forget, because I told Chris and Gino, as soon as we start, grab headlocks so nobody runs in and hits the rope, because you've got your head in the ropes locked in there, and someone hits the ropes, it can snap your neck. Because I remember the first time I saw it, Red Bastien did it.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen the move before. It was a shoot. I thought he was dying.
And then Dory did it. Yeah. Dory could do it good too. Hey, so tell one of the greatest stories that I tell people. This was an example of how big the Von Erichs were. The deal was that I had to beat Mike Von Erich, who weighed 150 pounds, maybe 160, right, in 10 minutes, or I had to wrestle Kerry. So we went to the convention center in Fort Worth, completely sold out. What, 10,000 people?
Yep.
Me against, and I got to beat him in 10 minutes. The kid was over so good. I took a blade. At the end of 10 minutes, I had him have to claw me. They went crazy. I mean, it was like, he couldn't do anything. He was really a nice kid, but just not physically gifted like the other boys. It was so over. They wanted me to put the figure 4 on him, and I said, not a chance. I took a blade. Like it's got the and David goes.
David Von Erich,
And David goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "Entertaining the crowd, man." It was classic. I had him take me outside, throw me in the post, did zip. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we came up. Well, that we talk about Kerry throwing the discus. That's how we came up with. Matter of fact, Vince used it when he went up to the Texas Tornado.
Yeah, right.
He would throw the discus punch.
Yeah.
So he would do the roundhouse like he was throwing the discus and hit him with the punch, and then, it was the one punch.
That was it. I've took a lot of those.
Yeah.
When he could find me. Sometimes they were easy to duck.
Welcome to Play It, a new podcast network featuring radio and TV personalities talking business, sports, tech, entertainment, and more. Play it at play.it.
David, you mentioned a name we hadn't talked about a lot on the podcast, and Rick, I'm sure you have some fun stories too. Red Bastien.
Oh my God.
Gosh. Phenomenal worker.
The Bishop.
Yeah. Phenomenal worker.
You guys got any good memories?
The keeper of the Bishop. And then we won't say anymore.
Well, I can use my imagination. Is it exactly what I expect?
Well, the first time I met him, he wasn't here in Dallas. I was refereeing in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And he came in and he was teamed with Lord Alfred Hayes.
Yeah.
Another guy that was a phenomenal worker.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, what was the guy that was a shooter? It was Tony Charles and his partner. They were from Australia or somewhere. It was Tony Charles, or maybe they were
Jeff
from
Fords?
No. Oh gosh, what was their names? All of those guys, Lord Alfred Hayes, they all came through here, and phenomenal guys. But when I met Red Bastine, we still do an event every year here in Dallas. Johnny Mantell puts it together, and it's based on Red Bastine started it. It's where all the guys come back.
Yeah.
They're still around this area, and we all get together once a year.
Yeah.
And,
The irony of this all coming together in this question is that the night before I came here for the big stadium show with Kerry, I was in Portland with Roddy Piper. And we want to say a few words about Roddy before the show and Dusty, and we were drunk really at a place called Red Lion on Jansen Beach. We didn't go I had a 6 o'clock flight. I'm coming to Dallas, right? I already know what I'm doing, right? But it wasn't like it was hard to do, right? I barely made the flight. Piper and I and Red Bastine. I said, Piper, we're putting him to bed because Red could drink. And he always said he could put you to bed, right? Piper and I put him to bed, tucked him in. I went in my room, didn't even change clothes, cutting up, plane, flew to Dallas. David picked me up, went to the hotel, changed clothes, flicked the hair back, walked in the building, the rest is history. But most of us fly flight.
Wow.
Well, we got.
Have you missed any flights this year?
This year? I mean,
Maybe in Texas?
oh, God, I missed a couple with you in Laredo. No, in Houston. Not talking anymore about that. That's not funny.
Yeah, it was
I
hilarious.
drank myself right through 3 flights with Conrad one day.
Celebrating.
Bloody Marys, my God. Forget it.
when you talk about Dallas, so I look all the way back. When I first got in the business, to look at the stars that came through here.
Oh, of course.
I mean, when I first got in, I was like a mark,
Yeah.
and you had Duke Kilmuka, you had Killer Carl Cox, you had the Brute came through here when in one of his last few
Brute
shows.
Bernard.
Brute, the Sheik
Yeah.
came through, and then here, I mean, Big John Studd. You talked about him. We had the spoiler.
Yeah.
Gary
Jardine.
brought in the spoiler, Don Jardine,
Yeah.
and he brings in Mark Lewin.
Yeah.
I mean, I think sometimes back of all the guys that's come through here
Yeah.
that were
Market rock and roll.
yeah, superstars and other people. Tommy Fulton and Bobby Fulton and
Yeah.
Tommy Rogers came through here.
Tommy Rogers died.
Yeah, he did die.
In Hawaii.
Yep.
What did he die of?
I don't even know. I see,
He's a young
I looked
kid.
at Facebook
What
and
a
I saw
handsome-
Facebook. I saw Bobby had posted some stuff, and
I don't
really
think it was
sad.
good. I don't.
Hmm?
I think there was a substance
Oh, really?
issue.
Wow.
I haven't heard.
Well, I don't
Oh,
want-
man.
Good
I don't
guy.
want to end on a bad note. So let's tell the story about the time you introduced Rick to a pretty straight-laced friend of yours who was celebrating her birthday.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. I'm not married now. That is great.
Rick's coming to town, and we're gonna go out. And so, one of my exes, it's her best friend.
One of my kids. You sound like me. It's rolling the dice.
So he's coming over, and we're all gonna go have a drink. And I'm like, Rick, now listen, this is a straight girl. I mean, she's a nice girl. Be nice to Debbie. Don't, we'll just have a few drinks. Oh yeah, no problem, no problem. And I said, it's her birthday. Oh, it's her birthday. Blah blah. So anyway, a little bit later, the doorbell rings.
Are you sure this is me?
Yep,
What-
it was you. My ex says, hey, Rick's here. And I look, as soon as he walks in and I see the trench coat, I'm thinking, uh-oh. And he comes in and I hear, Rick, this is Debbie. Oh, Debbie, I hear it's your birthday. He opens up the trench coat. There's a big bow. And that's about it. Happy birthday.
You sure it wasn't Harley?
No, it wasn't Harley.
God, yeah, just always trying to make everybody's day a good day, right? What a birthday present.
Oh, but we've had a good time. Rick and I were talking last night,
Who has the attached to life,
there's-
right?
Yeah, we have. And, to come back 30 years and it's really sad. I look at all the guys that are gone,
Oh, my God.
now with Dusty and
Yeah.
Roddy and
Vern.
John.
I mean, the list goes
Dick
on and on,
Michael,
you know,
Buddy Landell. I mean, it's,
the Ultimate Warrior,
yeah.
Last story about the Ultimate Warrior. I'll finish it with this one. When Kerry died, Jim Hellwig, the Ultimate Warrior, he's going to be a pallbearer. I'm a pallbearer. He's a pallbearer. So we get in the car and we get to the gravesite. We got to carry the casket from the hearse to the gravesite.
Mm-hmm.
So Hellwig's across from me. We're on the back of the casket.
Mm-hmm.
So we get out and we lift the casket, and the casket is heavy as hell.
Yeah.
So we're walking, and, everybody's got a solemn look on their face and this and that. And Hellwig's looking at me. He goes, "That son of a bitch." And I looked across. I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "That son of a bitch." I said, "What?" And he goes, "He roided it up before he did this. He's heavy as shit." I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
He's the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Conrad Thompson, the nature boy Ric Flair, and the legendary David Manning in Dallas. Okay, Dave, who wins the games today? Clemson, Oklahoma, Michigan State, Alabama. As obviously the three of us are going to the Alabama game. Give us a pick.
I personally like Alabama, and I like, I think it'll be for the championship. Alabama's going to be playing
Oklahoma.
That's your pick?
That's my pick.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that comes from a guy that knows how to bet, knows how to gamble. He's reeled in all those bad habits. He's actually, can I announce the fact what you're doing on Monday?
Well, but be careful because of the fact that my big picks were Baylor and Mississippi State. It wasn't these two games. So
Yeah.
I didn't bet them, but I told some friends that's who I
Of
like.
course, they both won big time.
But yeah, what's happening Monday? Yeah.
No, tomorrow, rather.
Ooh. Yeah.
At noon.
Why not?
Yeah, tomorrow at noon, David is getting married.
Yes, I
And
am.
I'm going to be there, so will Conrad.
After 10 years of
We started being happy.
having the best fiance in the world, we're going to do it.
Well, I have a great one now, too. I'm going to have so much pressure on me. Every time somebody does stupid like something like and get married, it falls back on my lap.
I know you said you're going. I'm not going because I'm going to get pressure too. So just have to send me the pictures.
Yes.
It gets really bad. When
Well, you're too young and too rich to take pressure. When they give you pressure, you yank the scholarship. Okay, that's the new plan. Remember, Mongo said
Mongo scholarship
yank the
line.
scholarship, right? They give you pressure. Me, I got a great one, lovely and everything.
Oh, you're getting the screws put to you. You don't know.
Oh, after tomorrow, are you kidding?
It's all I heard yesterday.
I brought both wallets today. When we get off here, Conrad and I are going to play cards with credit cards.
Hey, before we let you go,
You brought both wallets.
Yeah.
so
By the way, we're going out tonight to Fishbones, guys, in Dallas. If you want to see us live, woo! And over to AT&T with my good friend Chris.
and you'll be participating in a Super Bowl celebration here
Of
in
course.
Texas,
In Abilene, yep.
and we got the WrestleMania tailgate coming up.
WrestleMania tailgate parties off.
Same place,
Yep.
Fishbones.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to us.
Big
about-
announcement in the new year about what you're going to be doing with my company. Everybody's going to want to get involved.
Do it. Come on.
Well, for those out there, I own two companies. One's Extreme Travel. The other one is called Paycation. Our motto is why take a vacation if you can take a paycation. It's a network marketing company, which I've been doing ever since I left the business. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a huge blessing for me. I've got over 40,000 reps out there around the country, travel, have fun, save money when they do it, and they make money, make serious money.
Well, I need part of that.
Yeah, well, and that's what we're going to do.
Conrad has refused to adopt me.
Well, we're going to get Conrad in too, because what we're going to do is I've got a nice key spot up at the top. I'm going to bring Rick in as my good friend. We made a goal last night, 1 year, $100,000 a month, and we're going to get a lot of you guys
If I
out there
start
to
making
travel around the world.
$100,000 a
with us.
month, I'm getting me a boat. I'll be hard to find. Ship ashore. I mean, hello, NAITCH. Come in.
So we'll be spreading the news about that on
Okay.
one of the podcasts after the first year.
Thanks, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Manning, and our special guest, alcohol. And we didn't get in that much trouble today.
No, we didn't.
No,
we
we didn't.
only had 3 beers apiece.
We kept it mostly
And
PG.
let's go over to that bar right now and get serious.
We're going to wake up.
It's New Year's Eve, okay, guys?
Who's
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for following Woo Nation this year. We've had a great time. I love Conrad like a brother. I love David Mann like a brother. What a great way to shut out the year and look forward to 216.
Happy New Year.
Guys. Thanks, guys.
Happy
Happy
New
New
Year.
Year.
I wonder who wakes up and
And
doesn't
for
know.
all you women out there
Oh, my God.
that miss David Manning and I on the way through, dare to dream, ladies. Just dare to dream what you missed. And for those of you, in case David and I are running to you tonight, don't be afraid to live the legend.
Have you ever had a question for Ric Flair that you're just dying to ask? Well, on the Ask NAITCH format, you'll be able to ask him whatever you'd like. Here's a sample.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Wooooo Nation. I'm the sidekick on the show, Conrad Thompson. The man with the plan, though, is the nature boy, Ric Flair. We're running a little behind this week. We didn't get a chance to post an episode last week as Rick was traveling with WWE abroad. He went to Germany, and he's back stateside today, and we're catching him first thing in the morning. And we're doing something special. We're doing Ask NAITCH, and I'm asking the first question. NAITCH, how you feeling this morning?
Well, actually, I'm feeling pretty good considering 20 hours in the air yesterday. No, actually, it was a great trip. I always like going with the kids. We took off from Seattle last Tuesday and flew from there to Amsterdam, and from Amsterdam to Mannheim, Germany. Then Mannheim to Cologne, Cologne to Magdalen, I think I pronounced it, and then into Berlin. So, and then we flew from Berlin to Chicago, and then Chicago to LA, where I am right now.
Whew, that's a lot of travel. So where's Raw tonight? Raw's in Los Angeles?
Anaheim, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. We've had a lot of great questions.
The Disney World without Space Mountain.
Well, we posted back a week ago now, and letting everybody on Twitter go ahead and chime in with their questions for you using the hashtag AskNAITCH. And if you want to go ahead and participate in this next time, just remember to do that on Twitter. Use hashtag AskNAITCH. So let's go ahead and go right to the questions. Brian Lee on Twitter asks, Ask NAITCH, who do you think you've bled the most with? He's talking about color specifically. Do you think that, bleeding is a lost art in the business today, or is it just a thing from the past and you're glad it's gone, or where are you at on that?
Well, the person that I bled the most would either be Walter McDaniels or Dusty Rhodes. I would have to say Dusty, probably. We both had no problem doing that. And it's not that it's a lost art. I think it's just a health precaution. And it's obviously safer for the guys not to be doing it. For an old timer like me, I mean, I miss it, but I think there are occasions for it. But obviously, it's for health reasons, and the safety issues that the company's become much more aware of, the concussions, the blood, and stuff like that. So it, I think it was a necessity. I miss it. I miss it, yes, but that I can't critique. I can't be critical of the company trying to make it better for the guys, safer.
Yeah. Sean on Twitter wants to know, who was the stiffest opponent in the ring, not counting Brody or Hanson? You've actually said several times that Brody was not with you, but who was the toughest hand that you worked with?
The toughest or the
stiffest?
Jumbo Tsuruta, the Japanese. We won a bronze medal in the 82 Olympics or 70, I can't remember, but he was a bronze medalist in the Olympics for the Japanese and in Greco-Roman. So it was all the throws, the suplexes.
Sure.
He was a smaller version of Brock.
That's a good analogy. So if you're at your computer right now, go ahead and throw in and look up some Jumbo stuff. Hey, Ant on Twitter wants to know, what should every man have in his wardrobe? That's a good question to ask you.
What should every man have in his wardrobe? A custom-made shirt and some really good cologne.
Well, there you go. So I'm curious, one of the questions that somebody's obviously going to ask when you say that, what cologne do you wear?
Dolce Gabbana.
Okay, there you go.
My son gave that to me for about 5 years, and I swore I would never change out. So I wear it every day. I used to have like 10 different bottles of stuff, but I just wear the Dolce now because of him.
Yeah, I think that's what most guys do. I think they just find one they like and they stick with it.
Yeah. In the old days, we all threw so much on after the matches and run into the bar. we carried it in the glove compartment.
That's hilarious. I love that little last minute spritz.
Yep.
Benjamin Bell on Twitter asks, did Rick train in the gym with Rick Rude? Was Rude a beast in the gym? We don't get a lot of questions about Rick Rude.
I saw him train. I mean, by beast, you mean strong?
Yeah.
Not exceptionally. I'll tell you what, he was a real good arm wrestler.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But as far as lifting weights, I don't think he was that strong. I mean, what do we compare him to? Dino Bravo or
Right.
I mean, there were some guys who were just so ridiculously strong, like Atlas and Bravo, and the Steiners were both, especially Rick Steiner was really strong in the gym. And then, of course, Barbarian was another 600-pound bench presser. We don't have a lot of guys like that in the business now. The strongest guy in the business right now is Cesaro.
Yeah, everybody talks about how strong he is, and
He's a powerhouse in the gym. He will not train in a gym that does not have a platform. By platform, I mean, we can drop the weights and all that. You know what I mean?
wow. Benjamin Bell, the same guy who asked the last question, is really asking some really good questions about training, and I know you'll like these. What year did Rick feel he looked the best, and what did a good day at the gym entail during that time?
I think I looked my best in 86 or 87, and my workout has always been the same. I hit every body part hard twice a week. And then on one day, I just did a little bit on every body part. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I did 500 free squats, or I did 30 minutes on the Stairmaster or the revolving staircase. Just about every piece of equipment that came along. And of course, if I didn't do the cardio, I didn't feel like I'd worked out. So I did that always after the workout because it would deplete my strength. But yeah, just 2 hours every day, regardless. I found some way to get through it. I don't know how. I look back on it now. I hate going to the gym.
Yeah, you've told me for a long time, if you don't do it first thing in the morning, it ain't happening.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I did it. I mean, even if I stayed up all night, I worked out and I felt better for doing it. But that was just something that I was kind of the way I was not raised, but brought into the business. That the workout was very important, and I think it's paid off for me over the years because my knees and my elbows and my back, knock on wood, everything's still intact. So I think all the free squats and stuff like that were good for me. Push-ups are great for you too, boy. There was never a day I couldn't do 100 push-ups. Now I'd be lucky if I could do 40. Yeah, that's the difference. But maybe 30.
Jim on Twitter asks, can you name one thing you've gotten out of Bobby Eaton's infamous bag? That's so inside, even I don't know what he's talking about.
I have no idea what that means.
All right, we'll go ahead and skip
I
around.
can just tell you, I will just tell you this: Bobby Eaton is a phenomenal performer.
Yeah, and also from right here in Huntsville, Alabama. Cheap plug.
Yep.
Stephanie O'Connor on Twitter asks, any stories about Sherry Martel, and is her contribution to wrestling underrated?
Well, I don't know that it's underrated. I mean, she was one of the first. I think that she was one of the most colorful women in wrestling at
Absolutely.
that time. Different, and she was a good performer, different than the girls are now. But I think her contributions as a worker are maybe underlooked, but she was a great manager. I mean, she managed Sean, she managed me, she managed Randy. I mean, I think I can't remember who else, but everybody she managed, she was a phenomenal manager. And boy, she was in there. I mean, the fight started in the bar, she was in the middle of it. The queen, she was hilarious. She was a lot of fun and very much missed.
There's a picture out there of Sherry in one of your robes. What's the story with that?
I don't know. What year was it?
I don't know. It was the one I like so much. The black one with the white feathers and silver butterfly.
Oh, God. Let me think. I probably can't tell it.
Oh, we'll move on.
She liked to wear my stuff. Let's put it like that.
Okay, we'll go with that. Jason on Twitter asked a good question we haven't really talked about. What was the atmosphere and response like in the locker room when you returned to the WWE in 2001?
Well, the response when I went there.
Yeah, when you went back.
2001, it was great. I mean, everybody it was like I'd never left. I mean, so many guys had crossed over and gone back and forth, at that point in time that I felt very comfortable. I mean, I certainly wasn't ready to wrestle. That was the issue. Our deal was I was never going to wrestle. And then, 3 months later, I was in the Royal Rumble with Vince. So, I mean, I wish I'd prepared myself a little better for that. But when you take a couple of years off, you just kind of forget about that part of the business. And the way we started the thing out, where I was a co-owner with him, went great. I mean, that was a fabulous run we had with that. And Steve Stone Cold took off, and they put me back in the ring. So with no choice. So, but no, I felt like I felt very comfortable. I had no problems with it.
David on Twitter asked a great question that you and I have never talked about, but I think I'm excited to hear your answer here too. What is your view on music being played for a run-in? Does it take you out of the moment and make you realize it's planned?
I haven't seen music being played on a run-in. I've seen music played all the time when they interrupt a promo segment, but if they have played music on a run-in, I haven't seen it. Or I guess I just
Yeah,
pay attention to
like when Seth Rollins cashed in at WrestleMania this last year.
it.
When he ran down, they played his music and he ran to the ring with the case. I think that's kind of what he's talking about. And back in the day, though, in the old Crockett
Yeah.
days, there was no music being played. Just all of a sudden, he's there and
Yeah.
handling
Well,
business.
when he hit the ring, I mean, I remember the match. When he hit the ring, were both guys down?
Yes.
Yeah, well, then I think the music is fine. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and I think, and besides, it's good anyway because it's what so many people, they like the entrance music as much as they like the match. I mean, if you think back to how good it was, Shawn Michaels' entrance, but he had a hard time following with the match. Sometimes it was that good. Do you remember?
Yeah.
And with that stuff he did where he aerialed in from the ceiling of a building. I mean, and the Undertaker's music. If Undertaker didn't play his music, there'd be people that would be mad, including myself. So yeah, I think the guys, especially the ones that whose music has been in existence for a long time, it's a huge part of the show. Look when they play Hunter's music, the game and all. I mean, it's just it's just stuff that it's gonna stay with the business forever. Memories, mine as well. I hope.
Oh, absolutely. David on Twitter asked a question that I think I know the answer to, but I'm still curious. Who is your favorite wrestler to travel with and why?
Oh, my favorite to travel with was Arn by
Sure.
far. But it wasn't just Arn and I though. It was Arn and I, Tully, and JJ usually because Barry kind of took off by himself. Like driving by himself. He would signal, and a lot of times he'd pick up a chick along the way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This is before he got married. So most of the four of us, but we just had a good time, and we just I don't think there was ever a time when it was like, the word familiarity breeds contempt. I don't think it was ever a time that existed in our relationship like that. It's just, we just had fun. We knew how good we were, and we were good at it. And we got in the car, and we knew that we had, fulfilled our end agreement, and then the rest of the night was ours.
MI3 on Twitter asks, are there any guilty pleasures that you have that may be surprising to wrestling fans who don't know you?
Any guilty pleasures?
Yeah, like, I know you like to watch Married with Children, and I think people would probably be shocked by that, but is there anything else you want to share? Just stuff that you enjoy that
I'm
people
guilty
wouldn't?
about?
No, it's just an expression, like
Oh,
a guilty pleasure is eating chocolate ice cream or,
no. I don't have any problem like that. Pasta's my weakness, but yeah, married with children, still gets me good. What a way to wake up in the morning. That show is the best.
Here's a question that we don't really hear about, kind of a throwback. Everybody knows that WWE has catering now, and they really roll out the red carpet there, and it's a big production. But Joey on Twitter asked, what did the guys eat for breakfast and lunch back in the day? Because if you're eating on the road, that had to be challenging, and I somehow doubt that Crockett and everybody had the level of catering that WWE does now.
No, in the old days we didn't have that. We didn't have that at all. At Crockett, we fed ourselves. And I think it's been pretty. Most of us, with the egg whites. That's the egg white thing that's been going on forever. And some guys just didn't care; they ate everything. But I think for those of us, I was fortunate enough to be around Steamboat a lot, and whatever he ate, I'd eat. Chicken, tuna, egg whites. And of course, you have to remember that I drank a ton of carbs.
Right.
So I'm not telling you that I was not consuming carbs. I just elected to take mine orally.
They were the liquid form.
liquid form. Yeah.
Sons of Blindness on Twitter ask, any embarrassing moments happen to you in the ring, or any crazy fan stories where maybe somebody jumped in the ring?
Nope. I mean, I've seen that happen a couple times, but it was always under control. Back then the referees loved that. When the headmans could get a shot at somebody coming in the ring, they loved it. So you didn't even have to worry about fighting because the referees get put up them. And boy, when one guy hits the ring, both of the guys are we're both on our feet regardless. We come together real fast in a bond. We forget that we're opponents for about 3 minutes.
Hitman on
I wonder if people have ever realized that.
No, yeah, I mean it gets united, no doubt. When a fan jumps in, baby face or heel, the guy who just jumped in is the new target for sure.
Exactly.
Hitman on Twitter asks, can you ask NAITCH, did he really have to go to Savage's house and have a rehearsal for their WrestleMania 8 match?
I had to go to the sportatorium in Florida, and we were 3 hours a day for 5 days.
You guys worked on that match for 15 hours?
We did. We went 3 hours for 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's definitely a match that we need to kind of do what we did for the Royal Rumble with, and talk about that match at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the problem was that there was too much tension between Liz and Randy at that time.
Right.
We didn't actually sit in the ring and wrestle and all that. We just talked and walked through things, and then they half the time they were, figuring out what they were going to do with their personal life, which I just had to be there. But I can find something to do in Tampa. Originally, I thought White would be terrible, right? But I can find something to do in Tampa,
Yeah, absolutely. Nick on Twitter asks, do you think WWE will ever use more managers again after seeing the success you've had with Charlotte and what Heyman has had with Brock?
I don't know. I mean, I think managers, I think they're are good in the business if they understand the boundaries and their place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If people look at it closely, I do a few little things, but actually, I mean, I say woo all night long, but Ashley does basically all the talking,
right?
And that's the way it should be. You know what I mean? See, I don't like that Paul talks for Brock, because to me that heat goes on Paul. Does that make sense?
And so you're just old school in thinking that if the heat's going on Paul, that eventually there's got to be a payoff and somebody's got to beat up Paul.
Well, I think if you look back on the guys that talk a lot, like Bobby Heenan, Bobby Heenan had a ton of heat, but he got the crap beat out of him. And Paul, I don't think he's passed. I don't think he's been passed physically to be taking bumps. I mean, and of course they're always worried about being careful with me, and I've passed every physical there is. So, and I can take bumps, but I mean they don't put that kind of heat on me, and I don't want that kind of heat because it distracts from Ashley or Charlotte.
Right. MI3 asks,
I just feel like the people that are doing all the work in the ring should have all the heat put on them.
No, I agree.
What are your thoughts on that, Conrad?
No, I mean I get what you're saying, but I also think that sometimes you've got a great guy who in the ring is just a dominant, one of a kind performer like a Brock Lesnar, but maybe he's just not as good as expressing himself verbally. So, to use an old Paul Heyman phrase, you accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. And in his case, if he's just not as strong on the mic as he is in the ring, I think you can, cover that up. And I think you could maybe do that with Cesaro. Not to say that Cesaro isn't good on the mic, but if everyone agrees that he's better in the ring than he is on the mic, I think it would be helpful to have him a mouthpiece to accentuate the positives and hide the negatives.
Yeah, I would love that role, but I've verbally said that because I don't think they think he is strong on the mic, but he certainly is strong in the ring.
Sure.
And I mean, you could make, in my opinion, you could make Cesaro a contender that people would believe in right off the bat for Brock Lesnar. Within 1 month, you could get him that hot.
How cool would that be if that was? I know it's not going to be, but how cool would that be if he was better and that was our WrestleMania match, Brock versus Cesaro?
Hey, don't be surprised if it's not a SummerSlam match.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, when that kid comes back, man, I know they're gonna reassess his the way they were using him, and they're gonna put him a big push on him. And he's gotten over with the fans anyway. He's got a huge following.
Absolutely.
But if he had someone talking for him, and I like him in the role of being a bad guy, he could be huge, I think.
MI3 on Twitter is really on a roll with good questions. Is there a question you are tired of being asked? Just one question that fans continue to ask, and now you just kind of cringe. You're so tired of it. You know, when we're in public, the one that always gets me is when people come over and say, "Hey, Rick, you remember that time you wrestled Sting?" That's, I don't know why, but yeah. I mean, that just cracks me up. What are you supposed to say to that? Remember that time you wrestled Sting?
Well, you know my favorite line when I walk up there and say, "I'm tired of bothering you," but
Oh yeah, that's the best.
and I before they get the butt out, I say, "If you're sorry for bothering me, don't bother me." That's my favorite line. Yeah, tell your story walking.
That's the best.
Yeah, I'm sorry to bother you, but what do you mean, but what? Just keep going.
What's the biggest pop you ever remember receiving? Can you think back and think, man, that was the biggest reaction I ever got?
Greenville, South Carolina, for the size of the crowd when I came back.
And was that the one in '98 when you were back for Nitro?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. With the guys in the tuxedos and that. Yep. I mean, I've gotten huge reactions. I mean, the Citrus Bowl was awesome when I retired. But for a building that had, maybe 8,000 people in it, that thing in Greenville was pretty cool.
Jimmy on Twitter asked a great question. Who picked the 2001 theme song? You know, your entrance music that you've had forever, the theme song from Space Odyssey 2001. Who picked that?
Dream.
Really?
Yep.
What's the story on that? How does that come about? Do you remember?
I don't know. You know, it's funny because that's funny that I don't know that, but I'm relatively sure that Dusty picked that up for me. And it was along the lines of, the Elvis Presley,
Sure.
Frank Sinatra deal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But it sure did work. I didn't like it at first because it was so calm, but it really caught on. Now they're playing it on commercials on TV. I don't know how they get away with it, but they do.
Judd on Twitter asks, if Ted DiBiase had decided to sign with Crockett instead of the WWF in '87, would he have become a horseman?
I'm sure. Yeah, he was ready-made horse. He was a horseman on his own.
Miles on Twitter asked a question. I know you're not really good at making lists. You don't really like that, but he asked, what are the Nature Boys' top 5 favorite promos? Do you have just one or two? If you can't make 5, that's fine. But do you have a couple that stick out and think, hey, that's...
I sent you that one the other day.
Yeah. So guys, listening, everybody, Rick sent me something I'd never seen, and I'll post it on my Twitter. It's a link of JJ bringing out a doll. He's calling
A mannequin.
a mannequin dressed in lingerie, and he starts moving the mannequin's hair around and kissing the mannequin, and it's the craziest thing I've ever seen, especially for,
that was supposed to be Precious.
What year would that have been? 86, 87?
Jimmy Garvin's, that was Jimmy Garvin's ballet.
That is phenomenal.
I'm Jimmy, and I just said I was going to show him how I made love to Precious. Crockett almost fired me.
Who sent you that? Who sent you that?
David, but my son David had all that stuff on me, but I sent that around to everybody. A lot of people hadn't seen that apparently.
No, I hadn't seen it ever.
If I can pop you, I can.
So what did Crockett say when you did it? You didn't run it past him, and you said, "Go get a mannequin."
No, I just did it on my own. Then because it was kind of like, can you imagine if he did that to me? I don't know what's wrong with that, but like Vince would go crazy if we did that on the show here. You know what I mean? I mean, not the way the companies run now. No,
Right.
back when he was doing all the stuff with Tori and all that. It was
Sure.
a different time frame, but that was along the lines of what they were doing. I just was did fair, and then I think didn't JJ hand me her thong underwear.
Yes. I mean, it was pretty risque for the time, for sure. It was awesome. I'll link it on Twitter too. So when you're listening to this,
that damn food.
Brandon on Twitter wants to know, who do you think was the better overall big man, Andre or Taker?
Taker. I think that, to be honest with you, I think that in ring performer, Big Show is better than Andre.
Wow. Randy on Twitter asks, I know your favorite is Crown Royal, Conrad, but what is NAITCH's preferred drink? I'm guessing vodka.
Well, NAITCH likes vodka, but NAITCH tried to stay on the red wine.
Yeah, and here's a little fun fact for you. Rick drinks red wine in a unique way. He wants it on ice, and that's not something you see very often, but he just likes cold drinks.
Yeah, well, it's like we have a formula. It's 2 bottles of red wine and 1 bottle of a Crown Reserve,
There you go.
or 3 bottles of red wine, which we've done at one time with Austin, and 2 bottles of Crown Reserve that you drank the bar out of.
That's true. We
So,
did float the bar that night.
Steve was drinking tequila and margaritas. There
Absolutely.
was a wide variety of drinks that day.
There really was. I mean, we were holding court there. It was a good time. Judd on Twitter says, if Starrcade 89 could have been rebooked, would you have saved Funk and Flair I Quit for the title as the main event?
Starrcade 89. What was the main event of Starrcade 89?
You know, I should know that, but I don't right off the top of my head. It feels like when Crockett bought it, it started to, when Crockett sold, Starrcade kind of started to become not nearly the big event that it was before.
Yeah.
Let's see. That was the Future Shock show. So the main event was Sting defeating you in the main event. I guess it was like non-title. There was like a tournament, if I remember right. And so like Luger wrestled Muta, Sting wrestled Muta, you wrestled Muta.
Oh, the Iron Man thing.
Yeah. It was like multiple matches.
Yeah.
And you guys were all on a
Big
stage at the beginning of the show. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then Sting won in the end. But so the concept is, do you think it would have been better, coming off that really hot feud that you had with Ricky Steamboat, and then you guys did the Clash of the Champions with Funk? Should you have maybe strung that out and then had the year kind of culminate with you and Funk?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't anticipate that being, it's funny. Terry and I have had much better matches than that, but that one gets a lot of attention. Does that make sense?
What do you think your better match was? Is it something that would be readily available that people could go look up? Or are you saying just on house shows and stuff?
No, I'm just saying at house shows. Yeah.
Okay.
We didn't wrestle. I didn't get to wrestle him for the world title, but one time I think, and I probably wasn't, as prepared as I probably thought I was, but I probably was not as good at that time as I thought I was, and but Terry Funk was a tremendous performer. He still is, but later on, he added a little comedy like I did. As your skills decline, you throw something in that'll keep him entertained. But he was a phenomenal performer. That turned out to be a great match, and I'm not sure why people like it that much, but I think it's just the fact that we work so hard together. He let me pound it. He lets me chop the crap out of him, man. And people are going, geez, that's gotta hurt. It does, but he says crazy. Terry's crazy. We had him on the show. He is.
Oh, he's phenomenal. But like the nicest man you've ever met. And it's just hard to imagine that, his most famous piece of work towards the end of his run was the super hardcore stuff that you just wouldn't imagine.
Well, he's put his body through hell too, and he's still out there running around doing stuff. So
yeah, he just wrestled Lawler towards the end of the year last year in Memphis as like their final stand, which is crazy to think that those guys 30 something years later are still getting after it.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, Jerry works all the time now, still. Even I asked him about the heart thing, and it appeared to be just a one-time deal, and he's fine. So, but he stays busy and he likes it
Andrew on Twitter wants to know, I think you've answered this before, but why did Mr. Flair always wear his knee pads so low?
because my calves are so skinny. Hide my calves.
Cincinnati Southpaw has a great question you're going to love. What kind of wrestler would Pete Rose have been with his hustle and lavish lifestyle?
Well, for sure he would have been a horseman. I think Pete right now is a horseman. I see Pete all the time. As a matter of fact, I was doing a signing with Pete this coming Saturday that just got postponed for 2 weeks. And actually, I'm glad because I was going to have to fly back out to Vegas and then fly back to Cleveland for Fastlane. So on a red eye. So the fact that it got canceled, it does not upset me at all.
Larry on Twitter asks, how about a good behind the scenes Vince story? You have to have some fun Vince stories.
Well, it's nothing. Usually it's something going on behind the scenes. He's pissed off. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 1,000 of those just to tear me up. Are you kidding me?
Give us one.
80's heels don't draw. God damn it. Stop that. Who taught you to slam off the top rope? I mean, he would scream at me. He said, you go get your agent and get it. Take that tape and go look at your match and then come back and tell me what was wrong with it. Oh, yeah. Jesus.
Hey, so I don't know that we've talked about this on the show before, but there was a Saturday night main event with you and Macho, I think, and then you guys had to like go back out and recreate the finish or something. What was the story on that?
Oh, it was in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It was terrible. We had to have the whole match over again.
So what happens? You guys have the match, you come back through the curtain, and what does Vince say?
No, he came out and said, stop the match. He just stopped the match, went back, and he didn't like the way it was going, and geez, it was terrible. And they had Scott Hall hit the ring, and something just wasn't timed out right. All I know is it wasn't my fault. I think it's where they put the title back on me.
Okay, cool. Man, lots of questions here about promos. Let's ask this one. The most painful thing you've experienced in the ring. So not out of the ring, but in the ring. What was your worst injury or most painful thing in the ring? Like he gives examples like thumbtacks, but I wouldn't imagine he'd put that on the list. It'd be an injury, right?
Yeah, no, thumbtacks don't hurt. It's funny. I have to think about that, but it's funny. A lot of times when you get hurt in the ring, you don't feel it till after you get back to the locker room.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you cool off a little bit. I guess, once I was doing a spot I was in Dallas wrestling Sting, and we did a spot where I thought he was going to leapfrog me and he dropped down, and I thought I broke my leg in half.
Wow.
It hurt that bad, but 2 days later I was fine. But you couldn't have told me that. I thought, holy cow, I just broke my leg in half. It's just one of those things, an accident. But that stands out in my mind. Has stood out in my mind for a long time. Because we were running wide open, and I thought he was going to drop or leapfrog when he dropped down and hit me right at the knees. So, but a couple of days later, I was fine.
Scott Rucker on Twitter asks, I'd like to hear about Ric's relationship with the eccentric promoter, Jim Barnett. Surely he has a fun story or two.
My boy. He loved me. So my relationship with Jim was great. I mean, I never took advantage of him. He liked me, and he knew that I worked hard. And when somebody wanted a favor from me, they would go to Jim. By favor, be like Dad on some days if I didn't have enough, right?
Right.
So he would like tell me, because Carlos Colon, when we were so hot in Puerto Rico, I'd end up having like 3 days off for Christmas, and he'd call me and say, my boy, I just got a call from Carlos Colon. He said he needs a nature boy for Three Kings Day, which is Christmas in Port of San Juan.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, he treated me great, and he handled all my payouts. I hate it when they removed him from that position. he was great. He was the the coordinator of the champions schedule and everything. So yeah, the whole thing fell apart when Bob Geigel became the head of the NWA. The whole thing fell to hell and a handbag, whatever that means.
Yeah. Michael Cole, on a different Michael Cole on Twitter, asks, in honor of Black History Month, who were some of your favorite African American opponents? Just as far as in-ring work, I'm sure is what he means.
Ron Simmons, Ernie Ladd. I really like working with the Big Cat. Ron, of course, I worked with Ron a lot. Butch Reed. I love working with Butch Reed. I wrestled him a lot of all of Broadway's. Tiger Conway back in the old days. We just kind of we were learning the ropes together back in the 70s. Who am I missing here? I can't remember. Pretty much anybody I wrestled Bobo Brazil back in the 70s. Of course, Rufus R. Jones.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I drew a lot of money with all those guys, especially the Big Cat. Big Cat was over, and Butch Reed, and of course Ron and I, we were very close to this day because unfortunately he's a product of Florida State, and I have to remind him of that. This year I had to remind him several times.
Hey, so let me ask you, we never really talked about this in length before, but when he won the world title and became the first, Black American world heavyweight champion in wrestling, that happened at a time when you weren't there. It was August of 92. And it was kind of a weird deal where Sting was supposed to wrestle Vader. Jake Roberts injured Sting. It was, did an angle. And Bill Watts held a raffle to determine the number one contender. Simmons wins the raffle and then beats Vader and wins the title. Were you keeping up with that even though you were up north? And was that something that you would have, kind of been in the loop on? Or were you shocked to hear that that was the way they were going?
I was not in the loop, obviously, and then the internet wasn't like it is today, obviously. Right. But I would never have been shocked to see Ron put in that position. And with Bill Watts running it, we left out the key guy. Yeah, with Bill Watts running the company at that point in time, and his biggest star in his own company of all time was the Junkyard Dog. So I can see where Ron Simmons fit in, and Ron was 10 times the performer the Junkyard Dog was. I mean, Ron could really work.
Yeah, that's obviously,
and he's legit. Bill Watts was really big on being legit, and Ron's legit. 4-time All-American, which how many guys are like that? I mean,
why do you think Ron never got another run on top after that when he's got the universal respect, the legitimate background, all of his peers, seem to, you never hear anybody say anything bad about Ron Simmons. Why do you think he never got another run on top like that?
That I have no idea. I really don't. I just think that, I think when Eric and Hulk came along, they just had their own plan, their own agenda.
Right.
They pretty much just brought the whole Hulk entourage into the company.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Boss Man, Tenta, Ed Leslie, everybody came down.
Yeah.
Michael Cole asked another question that I don't know that we've talked that much about. Your thoughts on WWE Raw and debuting the show in 1993. So that would have been something that hadn't happened for a while, live wrestling on a weeknight on a major cable station like USA. And now Raw's, making its debut. You're there. Is that something that you thought, hey, they're on to something big here? Or was this just business as usual from your perspective?
No, I thought they were on to something big. I wrestled Santana on that first show. And then I wrestled Kurt on the second one, and then I was gone.
Right.
In the loser league town.
So we've talked about that.
That's the infamous Ole Anderson story where he said to me, what good are you to me after doing a job for Kurt Hennig on national TV last night?
There's actually a drinking game on the podcast now amongst the listeners that every time you mention that Ole Anderson story, they have to take a drink.
What's that now?
There's a drinking game for listeners of the podcast now. Whenever you tell that Ole Anderson story, they have to take a drink. So
the story about
what good are you now? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you work for the company? Yeah, I know. Too much, huh?
So let's talk about that, because I know that, we're going to get some follow up. I know you've mentioned it before, but kind of behind the scenes, you had an understanding that when you first went to work for Vince, he said, I'll always use you as a main eventer. And if I don't, I'll give you a heads up and an opportunity to go do something somewhere else. So
Yep.
he's coming to you now, and I guess maybe late 92 or very early 93. And how does he lay that out to you? What does that look like?
He just told me that he was going to go with the young guys, and that he gave me an opportunity that I know Watts, because Bill has been calling me every day, and he said, if you want to go, just I need you a favor for me, which I did, and I was gone, and I didn't realize that I was. I had so much fun there. I liked being there, but at the same time, I didn't want to be in a reduced role either. And ultimately, then along came Brett, was phenomenal then, and then along came Sean, and the whole thing. But and I guess going back, it's just part of my legacy. I mean, I went back and went through all the crap. But I don't even think about that anymore. I'm so happy. But and the thing of it is, if I hadn't come back in 2001, I probably would have, my legacy could have been completely different than it is right now.
So let me ask a question, talking about, what could have been. You jogged my memory on something I saw recently that I hadn't thought about since we had Cornette on the show. But you were talking to Cornette in 98 when you were kind of on the outs with WCW. I think it was around the time they were having a pay-per-view called Unforgiven, and they were having it in like Greensboro. And so there was talk that maybe you would come in. So did they ever talk about, if they brought you back and Ric Flair came back to the WWF in 1998, what you would have been programmed to do? Because at the time, DX is going on. They're in the Attitude Era. They're doing crazy over the top stuff. Where would you have fit in? Was that ever discussed at length with you,
Well, here's the
Jim?
deal. Because here's what happened. I was under contract, but Bischoff fired me.
Right.
I've been home, right? So Cornette called me and said, "Look, Reed had just won the AAU Nationals. That's what I got fired for. Reed won that tournament, the AAU Nationals in Detroit. So they wanted me to bring Reed and sit in the front row at the Coliseum, which was sold out, which would have been huge, right? I was dying to do it, and they were going to start talking about the fact that they had a champion in the front row that they were going to interview later in the show, and then they're going to come over and interview Reed.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it would have been huge. And I wanted to go, but at the same time, I wanted to be with Arn and all those guys, and I missed them a lot. And I don't know what I would have done up there. I mean, I know there's as short a period of what I mean. We had this little short run together, Arn and I, and the guys again, and then of course, they screwed that up again. But it's all part. I look back at it now; it's all part of my legacy. And but that would have been fun to have that thing with Reed. They were going to tease it, for about an hour,
Huge.
and then have Ross walk over to him and start interviewing him. In Greensboro, they would have gotten a good reaction out of that.
Matt on Twitter asks, who was the best individual worker between the Rock and Roll Express and the Midnight Express?
Who was the best worker of the four guys?
Yeah, I guess you could say 5 if you included Condrey and Lane. But between Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton, Dennis Condrey, Bobby Eaton, Stan Lane.
Ricky Morton.
That's what I think everybody's going to say.
Ricky Morton and then Bobby Eaton.
And for those who don't know, the talk online is that you actually trained Stan Lane in the business. Is that accurate?
I did.
How did that come about? Do you remember where you met him or how that all was put together?
I'll tell you exactly. I was at the beach with a girl who I was just starting to date just once in a while. And I ordered Bloody Marys and all that for the morning. The guy comes up bringing a tray of Bloody Marys to the room. And the lady goes, "Oh, hey, man, Ric Flair." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "My name's Stan Lane." He was working at the Hilton Hotel in the catering at the Hilton in Myrtle Beach. And then I trained him in my garage.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was a 500 pre-squad guy. He did it all.
Jason on Twitter asks, when Double A and Tully went to the WWF, did NAITCH consider going with them?
No, I couldn't. But we had a tremendous party the night before where I acted up and I said to Aaron, please don't mention anything about this in my acting up and misbehaving. And of course, the first thing they told Vince when they walked in the door is she had seen Flair last night. Yeah, and Blanchard both. I said, please don't mention any of this. This is like our because they went on a QT meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody knew they went for the day. So
Greg Bass on Twitter asked, the first Clash of the Champions match with Sting and Ric Flair was the match that got me hooked on wrestling. What was yours?
what was my match that got me hooked on wrestling?
Yeah. I assume it was Ray Stevens.
Ray Stevens. Yeah, I mean, I liked it anyway, but I mean, Ray Stevens just took it to another level for me personally. But I mean, if you think about the guys I broke in with, I mean, here I am. I'm in Minneapolis. Dusty Rhodes, Dick Murdoch, Jimmy Snuka, Don Morocco, Larry Hennig, Nick Bockwinkel, Ray Stevens, Crusher, Bruiser, Jack Lanza, Jack Mulligan. Are you kidding me? I didn't have a chance.
Pink Elephant on Twitter asks, any truth to the rumors on Buddy Landell being the NWA champion?
Being the NWA champion?
Like there was a big talk of him getting a push, or was that just Buddy talking?
No, that was just Buddy talking, I'm sure. God rest his soul, but I never heard that.
Matt on Twitter asks, Dusty Rhodes was a 3-time champion, but they were all short reigns. Is there any reason why?
I don't know why.
In my head, Rick, it seems like back then, kind of the formula for drawing was you had like a heel champion, and in your case, maybe a chicken shit heel champion, and the babyface chase is what was drawing fans and interest. And if the babyface was the champion, maybe that's not as appealing long term.
I just think that they switched it on short. They did the same thing with Tommy Rich one time, remember, for a week. And I think they did it once in a while just to give the fans hope that these guys would have a chance. In Dusty's case, I think that that he was so valuable to Florida Championship Wrestling. I don't think Eddie wanted him to be gone for a long period of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, because he had it once he won it from Harley once and then dropped it back to Harley. Then he beat Harley again and he dropped it to me. They're both short term. So I never thought of it, but I think in Dusty's case, he was so valuable in terms of the booking and, being able to make the promotion better that they probably, without telling him, that hey, we need you here.
Right.
The man, and Eddie had the stroke to make the calls to the other members of the board of directors.
Fran on Twitter asked a fun question that me and you've talked about before. Did Rick actually have a beef with Carlito for him being lazy when he cut that promo in 2007?
No, I love that kid.
If you haven't seen that promo, you should go Google it right now. It's Carlito and Ric Flair backstage during a Raw show, and Carlito was leaving the building early with his quote-unquote girlfriend, Tori Wilson, runs into Rick, and Rick cuts maybe his best promo in years at that point.
Yeah, well, I had just had a big fight with Vince, and I can't remember what it was about, but it was huge. And, so I just had a huge argument with Vince. I really can't remember what it was about, but I think it was, was I going to get a match at WrestleMania or something? But, and I was walking down the hall, and Bruce Pritchard grabbed me and said, hey, we need you to grab Carlito. Just out of other, I mean, it took place in like 3 minutes, right?
Right.
He said Carlito's walking down the hall, he's leaving the building. They're shooting a little angle where he's been lazy or something like that. He just tear him up. Well, I was supposed to wrestle Mr. Anderson in the WrestleMania, right? And then that promo was so good, I guess. I can't remember. The next day, they booked me and Carlito for WrestleMania. And they eventually, scrapped the match. So, I don't know. I can't remember but it's that good, huh?
Oh, it was very good, man. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you owe it to yourself to go check it out. He had a couple of, in my opinion, I'm talking about like you're not here. Your promo in ring where you made yourself bleed in 05 with Triple H and then chased him around backstage, and you're just gushing blood and slapping it all over your white shirt. That was the best one that I saw in that run until that Carlito one backstage, which at the time didn't seem like a big deal, but man, it became a big deal after that one. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just, I think back to the one the one where I handcuffed myself to the rope in my underwear.
Oh yeah, Nitro.
But when I can entertain Bobby Heenan, I know I'm doing something good. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Well, it's hilarious.
When I could impress Bobby, I knew I was doing good.
Carl Johnson on Twitter has a question that we haven't ever talked about, as far as I know. I would love to know Rick's thoughts on CM Punk, especially with the Slammy segment with the two of them and Paul Heyman. So we can talk about the Slammy thing, but we've not really talked about your thoughts on CM Punk, the performer, his move to the UFC, any of that stuff.
Let me think. Well, first of all, I've never worked with him.
Right.
So, and he, you know, here's the deal. I've always gotten along with him, and you judge people about how they treat you. I never had any problems with him. I never worked with him. And I thought he was a good performer. Yeah, I don't know if I'd call him great, but I thought he was good.
I think you guys did like a big, like 8 or 10 man tag once, maybe, but nothing that was like just you two really getting after it. It wasn't really that type of match, as far as I remember.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, I watched him on TV and all that, and I thought I don't know what the problems were. I just know that he left here with a lot of controversy, and that it seemed to affect AJ's run here too. So I don't really know. There's so many sides to these stories. I just know that Hunter is arguably my best friend alongside with you, and I can't see Hunter doing anything to hurt anybody. And I know Dr. Amen. I can't see Dr. Amen doing anything to put someone in a position to get hurt. So,
right.
That's all I can say. I mean, Hunter certainly wouldn't do anything to screw him. What does Hunter gain by screwing anybody, right?
Right.
I don't think he has to worry about going anywhere. And he's clearly a better performer when he does wrestle. So, and Dr. Amen, would never just dismiss an injury. That's not the way it works here.
Worth mentioning too, Rick, because you were going to get some comments when you said, why would Hunter want to hurt anybody? What we're talking about there specifically is, at the end of the day, sure, wrestlers perform because they enjoy it, but at the end of the day, they're doing it for the same reason you go to work. They're doing it for a check. They're doing it to get paid. I mean, this is the way they feed their family. And if you've got a guaranteed contract for millions of dollars, winning and losing matches isn't nearly as important as, did the check get to the mailbox on time? And I'm not trying to take the fun and the fandom out of wrestling, but when you're saying he wouldn't do anything to hurt someone, you mean to say, hey, he's going to honor the contract that they have. And, he's not, but we're talking about winning or losing matches is the way people are going to hear what you just said there. And I don't think that's really what you meant.
Oh, no. I wasn't. Well, what was that the dispute?
Well, no, just sometimes people online say, "Oh, Hunter likes to bury people, and he just squashes everybody."
And I say bullshit to that. He don't bury anybody. Why? He doesn't have to. It makes no sense. Anybody to think it out. Okay. I mean, it's like, it's.
Well, when he was a performer, perhaps, because now everybody's jockeying for the same position. But now that he's part owner of the damn company, it's different. Like at my job, I employ people. I don't want one to do poorly and one to do well. I want everybody to do as good as they can, because that's better for the overall company.
Yeah, he's in a different position now. Of course, when we're working, we're all trying to be the best. But if you are the best, you got to do is go out in the ring and be the best.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody can hold back your talent if you're in the ring. If someone said, well, I'm not going to give you a chance to get in the ring, then they're holding you back. They're letting you get in the ring. You can, very simply distinguish yourself from your opponent or anybody else around that's got a problem with you being in that position. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't even know what the beef was about, but it wasn't about winning or if it was about winning or losing. I didn't know that was the question. I just thought that thought it was more about him being injured and them making him work. Does that make sense? That's what I had heard.
Well, that is part of it. And part of it, I think was, he really wanted a main event of WrestleMania, and there's nothing wrong with having goals in wrestling and aspirations in wrestling. But I think he felt like he had been passed over where, he was not pushed as the marquee guy and was not in the main event and was looked over. But even though it's like a cliche now because it's been used on television a lot, Vince tries to put together WrestleManias that are best for business. And he's proven to do that even when sometimes the guys are difficult to do business with, like going way back in time, Roddy Piper or Ultimate Warrior or whoever those guys. And at times, Shawn Michaels was very difficult to deal with. But he did that because he thought, hey, this is what's best for business. This will generate the most interest, the most revenue. He's going to consistently try to put out cards that do that, not just necessarily cater to some individual's aspirations or goals.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I mean, he's all about making money. I mean, if I'm going to look at the big picture of Vince McMahon, the thing that I have struggled with for years is he forgives everybody.
Right.
I mean, and that the hence the saying is that what's good for business. Okay. I would have had a very difficult time forgiving the people that were trying to close down the doors of the WWE, but he just rolled along with it and just did what's best for business. So, but a lot of people wouldn't take that attitude. I don't think you'd have that if somebody opened up across the street from First Family Mortgage and tried to shut you down. But I mean, you guys probably wouldn't be at the Rose's Cantina having a beer.
That's a fair statement. John Owens on Twitter wants to know, and we got a lot of questions about this since it's kind of the topic of the week. With Daniel Bryan retiring, does Rick believe that his career is Hall of Fame worthy?
Daniel Bryan. Well, I'm sure he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Yes. And I don't know enough about his career. I can tell you this, that the guys up here that did work with him loved him. Once again, I have never been in the ring with him. And I watched him work a lot. But the guys up here, his peers that did work with him, they think the world of him. So I'm going to have to say yes, he's a Hall of Fame guy.
I don't know that you know this, Rick, but your friend Dave Meltzer puts out, his end of the year awards every year. And for years, it was just like the most outstanding wrestler. And then eventually it became the Ric Flair Award because you won it so many times. Bryan Danielson or Daniel Bryan, however you know him, has held it. He is number 2 on the all-time list behind you as far as winning it the most times. So,
wow.
So even though it may not have been in times when he was main eventing WrestleManias, he was carrying Ring of Honor and other promotions and having consistent 5-star matches everywhere he went. So the respect in the smart community and the wrestling journalists and amongst his peers, I would think would make him a shoe-in. Maybe he didn't have the longevity that some of the other guys did, but when he was there, there was no one better.
Oh yeah, I mean, he made a huge impact here. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about whether he deserved to be in or not. I was giving people,
Sure,
insight, my insight, because usually I can't tell you exactly how good a guy is if I haven't been in the ring with him. But the fact that everybody here loved working with him, and he, left on such a high note, and the reception or the departure of the show last week was fabulous with him. I mean, you could tell the fans cared. You could tell he cared. So, and that means a lot. I mean, that kind of stuff, I'm pretty sentimental about stuff like that. And he got a tremendous reaction. So I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for Bree. They seem like a real nice couple, and I think they're going to have a nice life together.
3 quick questions, then we'll wrap this one up. Jason on Twitter asked a great one. What NXT wrestler are you most interested in seeing on the main roster?
I can't answer that question because I haven't watched NXT, but if just off the top of my head, it would be Bayley.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are ready for Bayley to be on the main roster. And I think a lot of people, too, are curious how that will translate to the main roster because she had such a kind of a cult following there. And somebody on Twitter, and I don't have the handle in front of me, asked a question that I kind of skipped over because I thought everybody would know your answer, but it's worth asking. Uh, do you prefer working in front of a smart crowd or not so much?
Well, that you can't get away from it now.
But I'm just saying, if
Right.
you could get in your rewind machine and you could go back and wrestle in, 1976, or you could wrestle, at the NXT arena today, what would you pick?
1976.
Okay.
And anybody that knew that era, because you were almost putting your life on the line in some arenas. the people got that pissed off. I mean, and that excited. You know what I mean? I told you about the guy throwing the rattlesnake in the ring.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff and people jumping in the ring every night. I mean, for a week straight. I mean, that was exciting to us. You know what I mean? We thought the word kayfabe meant everything. You know what I mean? Now it doesn't seem to hurt the people in terms of coming out, but you just try as hard to make, your segment the best it can be. And then, and I mean, I have 1,000 ideas, but it's only stuff that I could do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses. I know how to make people mad. But in Vincent's eyes, nobody will ever get mad at me because I'm a good guy now. That makes sense?
Right.
And I'm never going to win that argument. I could be bad. What?
E. Sinatra on Twitter asks, he wants to know about kind of what the real story was when Paul Heyman was fired from WCW in the early 90s. There's lots of speculation and lots of talk online, but nobody can ever really pinpoint exactly what went down. From your memory, what was the situation there?
I have no, I very rarely think back about stuff like that. I don't remember why. I see him all the time now, and I mean, it's not because he's not smart. I don't know. Maybe he got in an argument with who was booking it. I don't know.
Now, I'm not sure either, but I know that, there was talk that he was fired, and there's rumors, one way or another. And then I know there was a lawsuit after. And so there's lots of speculation about what that was about, but now nobody's really talking. So it's just kind of one of those.
Who was the lawsuit?
Paul Heyman sued WCW and received a settlement from what I can gather.
Oh, he did? Oh, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Jason on Twitter wants to know if you'd like to see the WWE incorporate some of the old Crockett ideas like the Crockett Cup and War Games. I think they've kind of done the Crockett Cup in NXT, and they're doing it as a tribute to Dusty. But why do you think Vince never did War Games? Just because he just didn't want to do someone else's idea, or?
Very much that would be my total response to that. He didn't like to copy people's stuff. I mean, he can say something that's do things that are relatively close and they'll be compared, but he would never use somebody else's name on his product.
So
that would be my take on it. You know what I mean?
Rick, my best question is my last question. Nobody tweeted it, but I'm going to ask it, and I don't want us to get you in trouble here. But what's your take on the Titus O'Neil suspension situation?
I'm going to find out all about that today. I don't know anything about it. I just heard about it. It happened while we were in Germany or in the air. It happened. It happened after. I'm sorry. It happened
when he showed up Tuesday to SmackDown, but you weren't even at SmackDown. You were on a flight. You were leaving.
Yeah, but it happened after the celebration for Daniel.
Yeah, on Raw.
During that sequence. And all I've heard is that, he playfully grabbed Vince, but I don't know. I didn't see it, and I have no idea. I'll find out today, because people have been talking about it all week long. It's just, there's got to be more to it than I know, because I can't see anybody suspending him. It was just done to be playful. I don't know. And he's a very harmless type guy. He's not going to go out of his way to hurt anybody.
Sure.
To my knowledge, and I like Titus, so. But I'll find out today. There's probably something more to it than I know. So.
Well, Rick, I appreciate you joining me for Ask NAITCH. I know I woke you up this morning. You had half a cup of coffee and you're on the West Coast and you've been traveling 20 hours, but we powered through and we're actually going to try to do something we've never done before. And since we missed last week and we hated that happened, we're going to try to bring you another Woo Nation later this week. Isn't that right, Rick?
Yep. I think we're going to tape one on Thursday. How'd that sound, buddy?
Sounds great, man. I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate you joining me today, and I hope you get a quick nap before call time at the
I
show.
will. We got the car picking us up at 11. Charlotte and I are off to Raw. Woo. Take care, man. I love you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Have you ever wanted to hear Ric Flair look back on one of his most infamous matches? Well, we're going to do that too. And as a sampling, here is Rick and Conrad calling the 1992 Royal Rumble match.
We've got the British Bulldog in the ring with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Yep.
Rick, go ahead.
I've never really seen this back either. I've certainly seen clips of it, but the thing that makes it different than a lot of the other Rumbles is anybody that was anybody ever in the WWE. Actually, someone told me the other day, there are 11 guys from this match in the Hall of Fame. Which I had never even thought about that, but there sure are. DiBiase, of course, in the Hall of Fame and one of the great performers of all time. Davey Boy, who left us way too early, I thought was a tremendous performer as well. So here we are, and the theme, when somebody comes in every minute, I think I came in third, and is typical of my usual performance. All I did was feed guys all night long. I don't have enough offense for an hour, but I can certainly take the bumps. So
Rick, do you think this is maybe your second, or one of your top two most talked about WWF matches? It's got to be this, and then the WrestleMania match with Shawn, right, as your two most talked about?
I think so. at the time, I didn't realize, exactly what all it meant. To me, it was just another day at work. But I was with a whole bunch of different people that I knew, of course, from over the years. I've known Ted forever and wrestled Ted not only in the NWA, but wrestled him up there for the WWE at that time. But Ted and I remain very close to this day. Tremendous performer. And, of course, Davey Boy, I think that by not too far from saying is one of the best matches I ever saw in my life. Was Davey Boy against Brett in London at
SummerSlam. Yeah, later this year.
When I go, DiBiase just said to me, "I'll meet you in the bar after the match." See, I just look back. I'm going, okay.
At this point, DiBiase had been pretty hot for the previous handful of years in the WWF too.
Yeah, well, he had my gimmick. He's $1 Million Man. They should have given that gimmick to me.
Boy, I
threw enough money around. I wish someone give me some of theirs to throw around.
Yeah, that should have been your gimmick, the $1 Million Man.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, so I think that's your best robe ever. Where'd that robe wind up?
That robe was in Darius Rucker's basement, hanging in a glass case.
I'm jealous of Darius.
Yeah, he bought that in 1999.
Mr. Perfect with you here.
Yeah.
How long had or what was the plan for pairing Perfect with you? Just to eventually lead to a feud, or at this point had he already cashed in his Lloyd's of London?
No, he was right there in that Lloyd's of London mode, and he'd been doing commentary and stuff. But he, here we go again. See, my usual. Yeah, but what happened was Bobby refused to manage me, and so they talked Kurt into it. Kurt had no problem. Kurt and I got along very well.
But what do you think the thinking was there, that people may cheer you and they knew that he was already an established heel, and that way they could make sure that you were positioned as a heel?
To be honest with you, I think at that point in time, I think they thought that I would get a rub from Kurt because he'd been on their TV for a long time. And I had been down, with Turner and WCW and, the network. We didn't get nearly the saturation network-wise because the cable wasn't that concentrated out on the West Coast. So, I think they put us together because we were a good team together.
Right.
But I also think that if they hoped Kurt would give me a little rub and a little notoriety.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Here comes one of your favorites. The Nasty Boys. Jimmy Hart. Yeah. Yeah, Albany, New York, Knickerbocker Arena at the time.
What you got any good hanging out with Jerry Tag stories? We hear you talk about Brian Knobs all the time, but
Yeah, they're one and the same. One and the same. Actually, Jerry's a little bit more in control, but a great guy. You know, a lot of fun. He's got beautiful family. One of his daughters played Division I sport at Notre Dame, and he's got grandkids now and everything. It's hard to believe.
wow,
Look at
Grandpa
that
Nasty
punch.
Boy.
What a punch. And there goes the woo. I'm right now just catching my breath because I know Sags isn't going to jump on me. Well, I can't remember who's coming out next. It is kind of fun watching us back.
So you haven't seen that since it happened?
I'm sure I've seen parts of it, but I've never watched the entire thing, no.
So, the British Bulldog is obviously prominently featured in this match.
Mhm.
Had you worked with him in another territory at
Never.
this point?
No,
Okay.
first time. We, of course, have met, but I'd never worked with him. I'm just trying to talk some reason into him now. Yeah, he actually was a really good performer.
Yeah, I don't think that history remembers him as much as I do, anyway, as
Yeah.
a kid.
Uh-oh. Here comes the baddest man alive. Make no mistake about that. The toughest wrestler in the history of our business. Now and probably forever.
And at this point, would this been the first time you would have worked with him too?
No, I'd worked with him in Puerto Rico in the 80s.
Really?
Oh, yeah, I'd go in Tonga forever. And in Japan, because he was, he was in a dojo for Baba at the age of 14.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, and you watch me, I'm not fighting back with him either. If I am, he's like, he's not buying it.
That's hilarious.
When I'm backing up from him, it's real. You have no idea. He's not. You want to have him over to your house, but you don't want to bring anybody over because he's a cannibal. He'll eat all your neighbors.
That's hilarious. Eat your neighbors.
Yeah, Arn calls him the human Vegematic. See, he could really perform though, because a lot of guys couldn't do that jumping pile driver like that.
That was a fantastic pile
Yeah,
driver.
he and Orndorff were a couple of guys that could do it that well. Where you knew you were safe, you know what I mean?
So, hey, let me ask you, we've talked about it on the show before, but not everybody's probably listened to every episode. You found out, it's not a spoiler, it's 26 years ago, or 24 years ago. You found out you were winning this earlier this same day, right?
Not till I got to the building. Somebody told me, Jake Roberts told me at that gym in the morning. I thought he was just kidding me. I thought, how would Jake Roberts know? I mean,
Right.
No offense to Jake. I just thought, how would he know?
Right.
And then I got to the building and they told me. I had no idea.
Do you think this was probably Pat Patterson's greatest creation?
It was his idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, look at this.
come
Here
here.
comes the man.
Shawn Michaels
Yep.
on his way to the ring.
Yep.
You just look at who's already been in the ring so far.
Yeah.
You Ted DiBiase, Haku, British Bulldog,
Mm-hmm.
a Nasty Boy, and now
Yeah.
Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. So when did you know that Shawn was going to be the man? Did you know at this
Oh,
point?
I could tell. I went right there. I knew him. And make no mistake, that kid can work, boy. I mean, he was fabulous back then. Boom. He just, great position, great psychology. just a phenomenal. See, unlike very similar to my style, he was a guy that could take big bumps from guys, and you know, if you look at it, the Bulldog's getting the feed of a lifetime right here.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and a wonderful guy, and guys, the friendship and the relationship and the fun we had over the years, wrestling each other was just, fabulous. This is when he was still one of the Rockers.
I think he had just broken up with the Rock.
Oh, had he? Okay.
Yeah, he had just turned heel, and I think he had Sherry with him at this point, and he was trying to do his own thing. So let me ask you. I know that this match has to be laid out a lot differently than a regular match, of course, just because of the concept. But do the guys know, like, when they're going out, like, this person's going to put you out about this long, or is that even discussed?
Oh, yeah, of course. It has to be because of the time frame. Yeah.
So that's really a lot.
Yeah, but I don't
together.
remember that lasting so long that, where you sat there for 3 hours doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that they relied a lot more on the guy's ability than they do now in terms of, framing the match and finding the time and the place and what you were going to do. And, like you can say, basically all I do, which is something I was good at, is just feed the guys coming in, and it works.
Tito Santana, you got any Tito memories? We haven't talked about him much on the show.
No, I just really like Tito a lot. I wrestled him. He's from Texas, Mission, Texas. Hell of an athlete. I haven't seen him in a while, but a great guy, good person in the ring. He was in Charlotte for a while. And then, of course, he'd been up there. He had a great run up there. And I believe now he's teaching school and coaching at up in New York.
So, would he have went straight from Crockett up there, or did he go somewhere else in between?
Yep, he was with Crockett and us and Steamboat, and then he went right up there.
So you talked about before, you didn't think you were a big draw in New York. I love the low blow. You didn't know that you were a big draw in New York. Would this have been a good sized crowd here, or would they have had? I mean, were these fans as familiar with who you were, since at this point you'd only been in the WWF, what, 6 months? Less than that, 3 months?
Less than that, 3 months. They know who I was. I didn't mean, New York knew who I was. It wasn't that. I just don't think that I was, unless you're not on their TV at this time. Remember, this was before Raw. This was just when they were making syndicated TV, NBC with Dick Ebersol and all that. So I just hadn't had that kind of exposure. But the fans knew who I was, and this building was completely sold out, 18,000 people.
Barbarian,
here he comes.
Barbarian is still actually working a lot of indies. Does he live in the Carolina? Because I see him on a lot of cards there.
Yeah, he lives in Charlotte. Yep.
Okay.
Sandy works for US Air. Great guy. Look at what a powerhouse. There wasn't a day in a week he couldn't bench press 500 pounds. Phenomenally strong.
Going back and looking at these old matches, is this something where you kind of remember what you were thinking at the time, or is it just so automatic at this point in your career that there's really no thought given? You just know what to do and where to be?
I'd have to say at this point in time, it's just so automatic.
Yeah.
The thing that we're not quite at that point yet in the match. The important thing about these kind of matches, in terms of safety and position yourself, is knowing where everybody else is in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's really easy. Not at this point. There's only like 5 of us there, but it's very easy to get lost when there's 20 people in the ring, and go flying into somebody that can either cause you to be injured or the other guy doesn't see it coming.
Yeah, I've heard guys talk about battle royals, and essentially that's what this is, just a slightly different twist.
Uh-huh.
And they have a different. I mean, I guess there's 2 schools of thought. There's the school of thought of, hey, it's like a night off, no big deal. I love them. And the other thought is, I hate them. They're a cluster. I wish I was just in a regular match.
Mhm.
Which one of those would you land on, do you think?
Well, in this particular case, I'd have to say it was far from a cluster because there was guys that knew what they were doing. I've been in some with a lot of people that had no clue what they were doing. So
Right.
this particular event was great. And of course, here comes one of my foes for years.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I dropped the title to Kerry. So this kid was a physical specimen, boy.
He looks phenomenal here.
Yeah. He's about to give me the discus punch. Boop. Whoa. Time to do the Gordon. Yeah. He had a lot of fire, boy. Look at this. Look at Sean just took one.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Sean and I are,
We've talked about it before. I mean, I know you and I have, but maybe not on the show. Your flop, walking out a couple of feet and just planting. Where did that come about?
I don't know. I just came up with it one day. I'd watched Johnny Valentine just fall flat from a standing position.
Right.
So I just thought I'd add a little more entertainment to it. And as my skills declined, I got more entertaining with it as I got older.
Well, it was hilarious every time. It was awesome.
Isn't it amazing that some people say to me, well, I hate it when you didn't do the flop in the match. It's like that was the marquee move.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. You begging off, nut-shotting people, flopping, chopping, running up to the top rope and never making it. I mean, people want to see the routine, man.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I mean, look who's in the ring right now. I see why people really like this match. I mean, British Bulldog, Shawn Michaels, Tito, Rick, Kerry, and the Barbarian. This is all of those guys are big-time draws in their own right.
Oh, the Repo Man.
Okay. Now,
Barry Darso.
I know you love Barry, and I know that Barry is a very good performer, but coming from Crockett, you've got to think this Repo Man character is the dumbest shit ever.
I wasn't sure, but I was glad that Barry had a good job and he made it work. After this, he went to Demolition with Bill Eadie, which was, I think, fairly successful. I mean, those guys had a real good run.
This is actually right after Demolition. Demolition had just finished up.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, see, that's why I need you on the podcast. And I've already told everyone you're one of the most knowledgeable people in wrestling. I was there.
Eadie was gone.
I don't remember the components sometimes. What's funny is to see Barry Darso sneaking around at 320 pounds. Repo Man.
Yeah, Jim Cornette made a great point once about the sneak and like the crouch. He's like, that's the way every Japanese heel worked.
Yeah.
In the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Exactly.
I never really thought about that, but he was
Mitsu Irakawa, Kenji Shibuya. Yeah. Boy, I used to smack Kerry. He liked to get hit.
It's a shame you two didn't get a chance to work together in the WWF for the title. That would have been really cool.
Yeah. Well, just a lot of personal issues with him at that point in his life, so.
Right.
But it's amazing that, at this point, I'm not sure whether he's lost his foot or not, but I think he has.
Yeah, he has.
And he's still getting around like there's absolutely nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, he's not selling it.
Which just is a credit to his athletic ability. Here comes the hammer. Uh-oh. Everybody's about to get potatoed right now. Boom. Darso's the first. Boom. Here he comes after me. And Sean. Boom. Boom. Here we go.
I know you were tight with his dad. What was your relationship like with Greg?
Oh, we were real tight. Yeah, we were real tight. We were partners for 3 years.
Boy, they're really enjoying chopping Ric Flair.
Yeah, they are. There's that forearm.
So how many Rumbles have you been in? I know you were in this one. Do you remember how many others you were in? I know
Oh
you were in
gosh, I
like
must have
5.
been in. I've probably been in 5 or 6, I think. Right?
You know, I should know that, but I don't know. I know that your first one when you were back with the company is the one where you wrestled Vince in Atlanta, and you did the picture gimmick with the kids ringside, which was awesome.
With Megan and Reed.
Reed.
Yeah. But that I actually wasn't in the Rumble that night. I just won that
Right.
singles match with Vince. Yeah. So I know I was in one because I was in that program with Hunter in Miami that was real good.
Oh yeah.
But I was never in for any length of time.
So when you find out you're getting the win here and you're going to be the champ, who comes and conveys that to you? Does Vince come and have a little one-on-one and say we're going with you, or does
Vince and Pat?
Cool.
I mean, I had no idea. It just caught me so off guard. I didn't even know what to say.
Comes Nikolai.
Mm-hmm.
Was he mostly a Northeast guy, or had you worked with him before?
I had never worked with him. I've always gotten along with him well, but he was never NWA.
Right.
He was down in Tampa for a while. I take that back. He actually started out in Florida before he went up there, but the majority of his career was up there.
Yeah, he's on the downswing here.
Yeah.
Probably coming in from the WWF and.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't seen him in a couple of years, but he used to come to the Manias and that.
He does Comic Cons, or not Comic Cons, but the the Fan Fest type thing.
Oh, does he?
Northeast.
Yeah, I didn't know for sure if he was or not.
So, hey, there's not really a good spot for me to interject this, but the talk is AJ Styles is signing with the WWE, and there's a big debate about how they will debut him. Two-part question, I guess. One, would you debut him in the Royal Rumble, or would you wait and do it separately if you had the book?
Gosh, if I had the book, I would debut him on something huge, and would be the Rumble. I mean, you're not going to get a better audience. The Orlando has been sold out for 2 months,
right,
or 3 months. Holds 18,000 people, and I think the buzz for the Rumble is huge. And I mean,
yeah.
AJ is a great kid. I like him very much. If it's true he's coming, I'm happy for him. I haven't heard that it's true, but I've heard the same speculation you have. But if he is, he'll be a nice addition.
Well, it's true. His last appearance is for Ring of Honor this weekend in Duluth, over near neck of the woods. He's doing a autograph signing. Big Boss Man's in.
Yeah. There's the Big Boss Man. Ray Traylor.
Yeah, and Ray Traylor is a guy who Vince really did a good job with, because he left you guys, Valentine's out. Mm-hmm. He left you guys and came up here, and then they almost right away programmed him in main events on house show loops with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, and guess what? They drew huge. That was one of the best. You can ask Hulk. One of the biggest drawing feuds in the history of Hogan's title runs. Look at Barry sneaking up on me, 300 pounds.
And he's gone.
Just to see him in that character kills me. I've seen that guy sit in an inner tube and drink 55 beers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you'd have been proud of me last night. I haven't NAITChed much in the new year, and I NAITChed with a capital N last night.
Well, somehow I got that impression when you called me this morning and said you weren't going to make it into the studio. I think you tried to blame your friend, but I know when you're NAITCHing.
I was like,
and if I have to hear that woman's voice on your voicemail one more time, I'm going to vomit. I'm going to leave you voicemail when I see you tomorrow.
I love that.
Hey, this is the NAITCH boy, Ric Flair, Conrad's private assistant. He'll call you when he feels like it. Till then, tell your story walking.
Woo! Woo! I love that. So you just eliminated British Bulldog and the Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich. So now we're getting down to the nitty gritty, so to speak. We're down to just 5: Tito, Sean, Big Boss Man, Barbarian, and actually there went Sean and Tito. So we're down to just 3. Another entrant coming out, and there it is, Hercules.
Yeah, gosh, another guy I knew forever.
Herc, from what I hear, was hilarious. Do you have any good Hercules stories?
Not really. I mean, I socialized with him, but he was just, he was a pretty quiet guy. A lot of fun. Health issues later in life that, you just hate to hear that anybody has. But a good guy. Good guy. He was in the Kansas City territory for Harley. He was with us in the NWA. Whoa. Another one. Didn't know Barbara had that in him.
I loved the way you teased a high five. He gave it to you, and then as soon as he turns around, you chop him. That was awesome.
You have no idea how strong Barbarian is. Jeez, it's amazing.
There he goes. Herc
Yeah.
put him out.
Yeah. See, those are the kind of things that I thought looked real good in that match.
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Boss Man looks like he was out, but he's back in. Flair's begging off again for the 14th time. Some of the classic. Lots of people, who were in the business say that Ray Traylor was one of the best big men of all time. And
He
he
was.
could move around like nobody's business.
Yep.
Oh, wow, look at that kick.
Yeah. No, really agile. Very limber for a big guy.
Oh, he almost took his head off going over the top there.
Mm-hmm. He could really perform at a high level.
So now, Rick, you're all by yourself. And
Just another Gordon just to keep the fans entertained.
absolutely got to.
Gosh, when I see my hair like that, it makes me want to kill myself for letting her talk me into cutting it. Just starting to grow back there.
Oh,
Look at this. This is fabulous right here.
Oh, this is good stuff,
Yeah.
right? Piper on his way to the ring. And look at the fans, man.
Yeah.
They are ready for this. Piper was in good shape there.
Yeah.
Big backdrop, big knee lift. Boy, you're selling your ass off right there, boy. On the floor, why not?
The hot rod. The best. But I tell you, with him, it was just so much fun. We're probably, tells me, right? Excuse me, Sting.
Oh.
Look at him. Oh, wait till he starts giving me the left and right.
That's awesome.
One of the all-time greats, guys, and what a tragedy this year. He stole my gimmick,
Oh, my gosh.
giving me the fingers in the eyes. Like he's big enough to give anybody a clothesline. That's ridiculous. Now he's going to give me the airplane spin. I said, what are you doing? Because he, like me, hadn't been to bed for 3 days. Had so much fun with that guy. And the irony of Wendy and I getting to do wife swap with him 2 years ago, with he and Kitty, and having that week with them in private time, and and then the horrible, happening this past year. What a great guy, and what a huge, huge star in our business.
Yeah, you can hear your love and your love for him in your voice when you talk about it. Right
Yeah,
there.
what can I say? Great guy,
Another
a
WWF
great-
staple,
great-
Jake the Snake.
great talent. Look at Jake.
This was great by Jake. I love that. Because that makes sense. Like, if two guys are beating each other up, why interfere? Just let them do it. Have you seen Jake's new movie, The Resurrection of Jake the
I
Snake?
have not. I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it. Is
I
it
watched
good?
it, and it's very good. Yes, sir.
Is it really good?
It's really good.
Is Scott Hall in that too?
Scott Hall is in there, and man, the transformation in Scott is maybe even more amazing than in Jake. I mean, to see the before and after of those guys is really incredible. DDP did a fantastic job helping those two fellows.
Well, good. You know, I've heard about it. Even Steve Austin put it over, so I figured that'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I've got it. Next time you're
Yeah.
at the Conrad, we'll check it out.
Jake just had a hip replacement.
Yeah, Jake had some surgeries, and I think
Yeah.
Scott did too, both in the
Yeah.
last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I know Scott's got a heart ailment, which I wasn't aware of.
Yeah, he's on a pacemaker.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I love the idea behind you putting in a figure 4 in a damn battle royal right here.
Anything to get a pop.
I mean, yeah, because you can legally hold the ropes and nobody
Yeah.
can stop you. I mean, why not? It's great.
Look, we're all just teeing off on each other.
I love that.
That's what's good.
That's what's great about the Rumble.
Yeah. Yeah, you look at these people. Look at there's everybody in that ring right now is a Hall of Fame guy. Here comes another Hall of Fame guy. The Hacksaw Man.
Duggan. What was Duggan like to work with?
Oh, well, you know something? He was really over, so it was easy. But I mean, I wrestled Jim, you know, God only knows, 200 or 300 times. He's not Ricky Steamboat, but he was over, right? But when I was with when I worked with him in Mid-South, I had to wrestle him for an hour. That was a long night.
Yeah.
So many times you can go, whoa. So, but real good guy, you know, hell of an athlete. You know, he played for the Falcons, captain of SMU. He was actually as captain of the team that Craig James and Eric Dickerson were on. So,
Is he the only thing of note to come from Glen Falls?
well, his dad was the chief of police. Look at Roddy. Teeing off on him.
Yeah, what you said a minute ago is right. Everybody in the ring right now is a Hall of Famer.
Yep. Yeah, someone made the statement to me yesterday, you know, or 2 days ago when I was telling them about your concept for the show this week. And they said there's 11 Hall of Fame guys in that ring in this thing. So there's 4 right there. Sean was 5. DiBiase was 6. Boss Man is Boss Man in the Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
And I think he will be. I just don't think he is yet because they only put him
Hot Rod.
passed away. Yeah.
He was gonna let Jim punch himself out there.
Rope-a-dope. Oh,
Uh-oh.
oh, look at there.
IRS.
What a great story that's become with all the wrestling in that family, and it's still going on now.
Yeah, how about that guy right there being a 2-time All-American in 2 different sports at Syracuse University? Isn't that amazing? Football and
amazing.
wrestling. Yep. And he played at Syracuse when they had some players. You know, I mean, I don't know how that program went from Jimmy Brown to where it's at now. You know what I mean? But look at the guys: John Mackey, Floyd Little, Ernie Davis. I mean, geez.
Have you talked to him about whether or not he encouraged Bray and Bo to go into the business or not?
Oh, I talk to him about it all the time. He didn't have to encourage them. They were dying to get into it. And both of them have real good amateur backgrounds, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, Bray actually played ball here in Alabama at Troy.
At Troy, yep. He sure did. I just did the Gordon again, catch my breath.
I don't think a lot of fans understand how big of a deal IRS is these present days for WWE and what all he does as an agent for them.
Oh, he's fabulous. I mean, all those guys have an incredibly difficult job that requires so much time, you know, in their private life as well, because the job never ends. but he's, Mike's been there for a long time, and he deserves it. I mean, and both those boys are phenomenal. Now his daughter is going to become an announcer, hopefully. She's at NXT right now, and hopefully she'll make it. But she's a beautiful girl, and he's married to Blackjack Mulligan's daughter. How cool is that?
That's very cool.
I mean, I've known this whole family for so long. Here comes Jimbo. Yeah, I've wrestled him 1,000 times.
And that would have first been in Crockett back, right?
No, first in Minneapolis. Yeah,
Wow,
he was in Minneapolis with me. Ian Morocco started about 2 years ahead of me.
At this point, would you have ever imagined that he would have been back with the WWF, considering what all had happened?
Well, here's the deal. Once again, I need your time frame and your help on this. Had that thing happened with the girl already?
Yeah, it had.
Okay, I didn't know. So, if I did, I don't remember. So what, did he get fired for a brief period of time after that?
Yeah, I mean, he got ran off a couple of times from what I remember. I know Pritchard told us a story about how they had to go rescue him from some desert country with machine guns in the middle of the night, like a SEAL Team 6 type rescue.
Yeah.
He gotten jammed up over there. So I know he had several incidents that caused Vince and them heartache, but he always came back.
Jimmy was fearless, man. Jimmy was fearless. He most of those island guys are. But make no look at Roddy.
I love that.
He's trying to throw my nose out. No, but Jimmy could work. I mean, when he was up, when he was on, Jimmy Snuka could really perform.
It's a random question, but as Jake's trying to get you out, I can see it. I've had a couple of dudes on Twitter, and this never even crossed my mind, but they want to know what was the knot on your back? Did you ever get that looked at, or what was that?
Well, the knot's been removed at this point. That's just scar tissue. It's still there. That's a result of the airplane crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I started landing on my left-hand side, and I got that calcification. They thought I had cancer. When they opened me up, the guy says to me, if I find out it's cancer, I just have to take your shoulder off. And I said, I don't think that's going to work. If it's something down there that's more than what we find out it is, you can wake me up. We'll discuss that thing about taking my shoulder off. That's kind of the way I went into surgery. That was back in 1979, because when I started back working after I'd had the broken back, I couldn't get myself to land flat. So I just started landing, and right up to the time I retired,
yeah, I
was landing on my left shoulder. There he is, the big man. Probably the most famous, either here's Stone Cold, most famous components in the history of the company.
So the kind of backstory to this angle is at Survivor Series 1991, The Undertaker beat Hulk Hogan with a tombstone. Flair slid the chair in underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Undertaker's the champion. They do the rematch at Tuesday night in Texas. Hogan wins it back. The president, quote unquote, Jack Tunney, then holds the belt up and says that the new champion will be crowned at the Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that as soon as the Undertaker gets in, he goes after Snuka, takes him out, and then goes right to you, which seemingly would have been his ally.
Look at Roddy. Yeah, but the theme of this is that there are no allies.
Sure.
And that's what makes it cool. What's funny about, look at him. He didn't sell nothing for me. We're all trying to beat him up. He's got us all.
Now, you had first worked with him as Mean Mark in the NWA, is that right?
Yeah, just one time, though. I don't remember. He was in a tag team thing with, here comes Mach, man. Another Hall of Famer. We grounded him. Couldn't let Mach get going.
Look who's in the ring right now. I mean, Jake just out, but are these back in? Hacksaw, Piper, Flair, Macho, Undertaker, IRF.
Yeah.
That's a big-time crew right there.
Yeah. Yeah, Taker's, the Taker will be in the Hall of Fame whenever he decides he wants to retire, so.
If these guys were to go drinking after the Rumble tonight, what would the bar tab be?
This particular crew right here. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, is Roddy still in there?
Roddy's in there. Mosh is in there.
Oh, let's see. Roddy,
Taker, Jake, Rick.
well, here would be the components of the bar tab: Taker, me, Piper, Taker, me, and Piper. You know, Randy would come around. I don't think Randy would throw $5 on top of the check, but
That's hilarious.
that's
I'm pretty sure Jake could have put away some back in this day.
yeah. I don't remember. I didn't drink with Jake that much. He wasn't known for that as much. You know, I mean, he liked other stuff, which is probably documented in his movie.
Sure.
But Piper could, you know, he was, and Taker, if there was a bottle of Jack Daniels to be found anywhere, it was gone. I've never gotten that gargling the Jack. I've never gotten that.
Oh, I don't understand that.
Oh, and don't forget that Kurt Hennig is there, right? The king of gargling Jack. So I'm sure we did something big that night. Look at Roddy. Looks like I'm in a ring with Ingemar Johansson.
And Roddy has not slowed down in this match. He is
I know. For a guy that hadn't been to bed probably in a month, he's doing pretty damn good.
Man, how great was The Undertaker at this character right away?
Oh, unbelievable.
Knows where the camera is, rolling his eyes back in his head.
Yeah.
He's one of a kind.
Hearing Pritchard tell that story about how it worked out for him is just amazing. I mean, and to see it to this day, I mean, unbelievable. Greatest entrance in the history of the business.
Oh, sure.
Ding.
So at this point, would it be safe to say that the referees around the ring are kind of keeping up with who's supposed to be doing what? Or are they really just there for kayfabe purposes about, oh, his feet touch?
Oh, I just got to take her to sell a little bit. Not a whole lot. The Berserker, John Nord, oh my God. You know, well, you know the story about when we were in SummerSlam over in Europe. I mentioned that earlier about David Boy and Brett in that great match.
Yeah.
The Nord and the Hawk of the Road Warriors, Mike Hagstrom, they just joined up a motorcycle gang and never came back for a month.
That's hilarious.
They never came back. And Nord was from Minneapolis. Next time I saw him, he was selling cars. He and Hawk just got up with these motorcycle guys after SummerSlam and didn't make the plane home and didn't come back for a month.
Wow. So they're obviously, with the boots and the beard and all that with the Berserker, they're really trying to mimic Brody, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but it was hard. There's only one Brody. I mean, John was a big, strong guy and all that, but Brody was a different kind of cat.
What do you think Vince would have done with Brody had he actually come up?
I don't know, because I don't know they would have gotten along very well.
Right.
You know, Frank did his own thing, and he was so focused on, you know, where he made his big money in Japan. Those guys were making, I tell people these stories, and I think they think I'm making it up, but Brody and Hanson were making, when it first started, like $12,000 a week. And I heard at the end they were making close to 18 or 20. You can ask Johnny Ace, you know, for 45 weeks a year. Think about it. Or for 35 weeks a year. Think about that. That's a lot of money.
Oh, that's an incredible amount of money.
Yeah, but they sold out when those guys were tag team partners against Jumbo and Garuda and Baba. I mean, they sold out every night, everywhere.
Virgil's in the ring. Virgil has become a little bit of a social media sensation now. I think he's got the same handlers as the Iron Sheik, so he's trying to be a little over-the-top X-rated comedy. Do you
really
have any fun memories of going to the Olive Garden with Virgil?
Actually not. No, he was another guy. He was with Ted, but he didn't come out much at night. He wasn't a
Yeah.
big social guy.
So at this point, Rick, after the Rumble, would you have went home, or would there have been shows the next day, which would have been a Monday, I believe? But I mean, there wouldn't have been house shows on a Monday, right?
The next day, let me think. The night before the Rumble, I wrestled Hogan in Boston. So Monday, I wish I could tell you. I want to say we went to Montreal or something after this. I can't tell you for sure. I'll ask someone this weekend just because I'm curious. But you have to remember that the guys forget we were working every day back then.
Right.
Yeah, I mean we had wrestling Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, twice on Saturday, twice on Sunday. WE didn't do that as much as NWA did, but for a while they figured out they could do that. That twice on Saturday and twice on Sunday made it a long week.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and it would have been on a Sunday. So the next day would have been Monday the 20th. It's pretty cool that we're doing this week too, because this week is the 24-year anniversary. It actually happened on January 19th, and we're actually taping this on the 22nd. So we're really, really close. Next year will be the 25th anniversary of this match. Time flies, doesn't it, man?
Yeah, and I apologize to the fans right now for us doing this so late in the week, but I have been WWEing with my daughter, and then had 2 personal appearances. So it's the first day I've been back at home and able to get in the studio, but I think they'll enjoy this. It's a little different.
Oh, it's super fun. I just realized as Undertaker was trying to put you out there, I have one of your boots from this match.
You do?
I didn't realize that, but yeah, that red and black, the way the toes come
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me and Rod still hanging in there.
Still having a good time.
Yeah. God, what a great guy.
So the Iron Sheik was just in. Surely you've got some good Iron Sheik stories from
Oh,
back
I
in the
broke
day.
in with him. Are you kidding? Me and Cosgrove started together with Vern in 72. I know the Sheik very well. He's so banged up now, though. I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
He's making some money, being silly, but God, I'll never forget when they inducted him in L.A. the same year they inducted Hogan. He was hollering, like, I should have broke the jabroni's leg when they had Hulk beat him, remember?
Sure.
Yeah, because Vern Gagne, called, this is a story I've been told, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but the story is Vern called the Sheik and said, I'll give you $100 or $100,000 to break his leg instead of dropping the title to him. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that story is true or not, but
It's out there, though. I mean, people
Yeah.
have talked about that.
yeah. So here comes Rick Martel. This kid right here is a phenomenal performer. I asked someone the other day what he's doing, and he's just one of those guys that walked away from the business and doesn't want to be near it again. They're trying to. He lives in Montreal. He's got some real estate, and he's happy. And they invited him to WrestleMania, and he said he wasn't interested. So
He's got to be one of the great success stories of wrestling now. He got in, made some money.
Yeah.
Kept himself in great shape.
Yep.
Didn't get jammed up too bad. Got out and got into another industry and enjoyed his time for what it was.
Yep, for sure. He was very close to Roddy. I actually was surprised I didn't see Martel at Roddy's funeral because he was very close to Roddy.
Do you remember him coming in the WCW towards the end?
Rick Martel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I wrestled him when he was AWA champion and I was NWA champion. I wrestled him in Tokyo one time. That was another mistake they made. They made 2 mistakes with me and Americans. They put me over there one night for an hour with Steamboat in Tokyo and another time for an hour with Rick Martel. Martel could really go. And, the Japanese, as much as they didn't like our style of work at that time, they had a hard time not liking that moment. It was that good. Yeah, Martel could really perform.
Just saw Hebner walk past the screen. You're closer with Earl than Dave, right?
I'm equally close to both of them. Dave is in real bad health. I don't see Dave much. I've saw him once last year. I talked to Earl and his son, once every couple of months. God, had some good time with those guys. That's one of the strangest things. I even asked that story again a couple weeks ago because all of a sudden to have the Hebners gone, I mean, here comes the golden goose, man. This guy was over big time.
Oh, look at the crowd, man.
Yeah, you kidding me? I mean, boom. Right.
Right after Undertaker
Yeah.
and Ric Flair.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he was over. Got a crew going on right there.
Yeah, so this is where you were talking earlier with this many guys. You got to be careful or you'll get lost.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of guys in there.
Well, it's not getting lost as much as where you're going to throw somebody. You
Don't
got to
hurt
make sure
anybody.
you know where you're at so you can land. Like, normally I might have taken a slam off the top right here, but you never know where someone's going to be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, see right here where
Yeah. Duggan was almost in the way.
yeah. Uh-oh. Taker just got mad.
Berserker's gone. Taker's gone. Hulkamania's running wild,
Yeah.
brother.
Listen to this crowd, boy, they're insane right now.
One after Martel with the t-shirt around the throat. That's pretty cool.
See, I mean, that's another example. See that? Where
Yeah.
Martel just missed
Virgil.
yeah. Just got to be careful.
Virgil and Hacksaw out. We're getting down to the nitty gritty now. Hogan, Flair, Piper, IRS. Over in the other corner, Martel and Macho now back on the screen. We're ticking down. I think I know who this one is just by process of elimination. Nope, I was wrong. Skinner.
Mhm.
Steve Kern.
Yep.
You had some you had to have had some good memories with Steve Kern over the years.
Oh, God, down in the Florida territory, yeah. Still do. He and his wife, Terry, are good friends of mine. I haven't seen him in probably 6 months, but he was there when Ashley was training at
FCW.
FCW, yeah. Yeah, Steve's a great guy.
So what's his role with the company now? I know he was kind of running FCW, but since that's not really a thing anymore, do you know what he's doing now?
I have no idea. I'll have to ask that because I'm curious. Steve Rotato's taking bumps there, and you just got to know where you're going.
Yeah.
And keep an eye on everybody.
It's so interesting to look back and see how so many of the WWF characters back then were really like occupational characters. I mean, you've got IRS and you've got Skinner and Rick the Model. And so you've got all these different occupational gimmicks. And then you've got some guys who don't have that. Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan. And their run was probably probably something to that. Occupational character, not necessarily going to get you the big run.
Yeah, it's kind of like, that was the deal. Everybody was a character.
Right.
Like Honky Tonk. I mean, it's just the whole thing. But it worked, and it certainly worked in their marketing strategy because those guys we weren't making a dime, in marketing the NWA. I mean, if we were, we never saw it. And if there was something that could have been marketed, it was the Four Horsemen, most definitely, my God.
Sure.
And Dusty Rhodes, Here comes Sarge, another Hall of Famer.
We got to get him on the show. We
Yeah,
get a lot of
there's
requests.
more than 11 guys.
There's got to be.
But we'll see Sarge out at Mania.
Yeah, we got to get him. We have lots and lots of requests for him.
Yeah.
And you had worked with him for Crockett and here. Did you work with him in Minnesota as well?
No, he started the year after me. Yeah, he's a 73 boy.
This is around the time he's got the deal with G.I. Joe, which was a really big deal at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan and Piper. Timeless. It never, ever gets old.
They're no selling each other.
Oh, yeah, that's a refusal.
Yeah,
Nobody's giving anybody anything.
Nothing. So much easier just to go down.
I knew a girl like that. Look who's in the ring right now. Sergeant Slaughter, Ric Flair, IRS, Macho Man, Martel, Roddy Piper, and Hulk Hogan. That's a pretty big-time crew.
Yep.
I see why this is regarded as one of your favorite, or one of the fans' favorite matches of yours. I mean, I hear this. Obviously, I hear people talk about the trilogy and with Steamboat, and I hear lots of talk about the Punk I Quit match at the Clash. But this and the Shawn Michaels match that you retired with at WrestleMania 24 have to be your two most famous WWF matches.
I guess, yeah. I mean, in the eyes of the people,
yeah.
You know, I thought I had some really good matches with Brett as well, you know, and of course I did with Roddy.
With Hunter, you had some phenomenal matches.
Oh, Hunter and those guys, yeah. Here comes Big Sid. He's rolling in.
So, hey, here's a question for you. Would you, what was your relationship like with him after the whole Arn incident?
Oh, we never talked. Never talked.
Are y'all crossed now, or?
Well, I haven't seen him in years. Yep. I have no idea what he's doing.
Do you know if he and Arn ever patched everything up?
I don't know the answer to that. I would, if I were going to take a guess, I would say no. You know, that was just ridiculous. You know, one of the times I was lucky enough to be in bed, and you know, just to wake up to that, finding out that went down. You know, no need for that.
Were you there when he had the incident with Pillman and a squeegee?
Who's that?
Sid.
What was that about?
I don't know. Supposedly there was a fight in a bar and somebody brought in a squeegee as a weapon, and I thought that was pretty phenomenal.
Who who won the fight?
Well, I don't think Sid's ever won a shoot fight based on wrestling lore. Everybody always says that there's a weapon involved and it doesn't always go his way. But I don't know. The talk is he really had a lot of heat with all the guys, but nobody knows that better than him.
I can assure you that. Yeah, he wasn't everybody's favorite. You know what I mean?
Did you have any problems working with him in the ring, or was it just personality?
No. No, it just you know, he I had a real close friend named Joe Gomez that he was he just wasn't nice to people, and he took advantage of his position, if that makes sense.
A warlord with your boy right there,
Yeah.
Harvey Whippleman.
Oh, there I go. Finally found room.
Harvey Whippleman, or Bruno, as you call him, is really probably one of the unsung heroes of WWE in present day. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I'll tell you something. He's utilized and underappreciated. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's the all-time errand guy.
I've never been to a show with you where he wasn't running 100 miles an hour every day.
There's a suplex on the floor, so he's way ahead of his time. Need more credit for this stuff. Nobody was taking suplex.
Oh, man. Sarge with a big exit right there.
Huh?
Sarge with a big exit right there.
Yeah. Sarge could work, man.
Yeah, I don't think I remember seeing Hogan suplex anybody on the floor. I think you're right on that. Great camera work.
Mm-hmm.
What was the biggest shock or adjustment for you when you went from WCW to the WWF. Was part of that the production, just as much as they put it into lighting and rigging and the cameras and all that, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, and, if you hadn't, and not having been there before, to see this and to actually be part of it. I mean, the studios in Stanford and all that, and of course, they're 10 times that now. I mean, they've built stuff since then that you can only imagine. It looks like something in downtown LA. I mean, they've got, studio after studio and warehouse after warehouse of cameras and, technology stuff. Just keeping the network updated, that's a daily deal,
Sure.
I actually haven't been up there in over a year, but it's amazing. Everybody, well, you've known it and you've done it. Everybody needs to go through Titan Tower one time. I mean, that's
Oh, no, I
it
agree.
is what it is. Look at the memorabilia, the pictures, and the guy is just, he keeps it, you'd think that Donald Trump owned it. I mean, it's that nice.
So we're getting to the nitty gritty now. Piper just eliminated with Martel. So we've got 4 in the ring: Macho Man, Sid, Hogan, and Flair.
Mm-hmm.
Warlord's out. Everybody's out. We're down to these 4. And there goes Macho. Assist to Flair. Man, it's flew by. I know we're getting near the end, and this was a lot faster and a lot more fun than I imagined.
Well, you had to be there.
There's your spot right there. And there goes Hogan. Sid Justice making a kind of heel deal, throwing Hulk Hogan out. And look at the fans. I think they all had Hogan pegged here. They thought Hogan was winning for sure. Dirtiest player in the game. And of course, everybody's listening to us now rather than the commentary. But Bobby Heenan is losing his mind.
I'm losing mine. I can't believe after being basically reduced to nothing in WCW to becoming the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Pretty big moment in my life. You can see that scar is still pretty prominent there, isn't it?
Yeah.
On my back, yeah.
So when you found out earlier in the day that you were winning, would this have been something you would have called Beth and said, hey, get the pay-per-view and gather the kids around? Or would you have cared to do that?
Well, Ashley and Reed were too young.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. And my older kids, it was one of those times where I had nowhere to go with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going to work the next day. It's hard. That's a tough question. I mean, look at the ring there now. It's got Renee Goulet in it. It's
Pat Patterson with dark hair.
Yeah, Tony Garea. Oh my God, look at Pat. God, yeah, look at Pat. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think the kids more started following stuff later when I went back to WCW, and then of course, in my last run from 2001 to 2008 with the company.
So does this kind of, since you're the champ and you just won the belt, they're not even really focusing on that now. They're focusing on Sid and Hogan trying to set up WrestleMania. Is this something that pisses you off, or do you care? Because
No, I didn't care. I didn't think about it. Everybody, that's one of the most popular questions I've heard. I get asked all the time. I was never upset that I didn't wrestle Hulk. Nobody promised me I was wrestling Hulk. It didn't work out for a number of reasons, but none of them left me in a bad position. I wrestled but Randy Savage. I mean, Randy and I had a much better match with Randy than Sid and Hulk had. You know what I mean?
We ought to do this again, WrestleMania week, for that match with you and Randy. But I meant specifically, not necessarily that you weren't wrestling Hogan at WrestleMania, but normally when there's a new champion, that's the focus.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, regarded as being the best Rumble and everybody's favorite. But immediately after the match, rather than it being all about you winning the belt, it's still about Hogan and Sid. And online, that annoyed a lot of people.
Yeah, but look at that Hall of Fame crew I'm sitting with right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a lot of people, myself included, think this is one of your very best promos. And I know that if they're listening, they're not hearing it now, but they should go back and listen to it. With a tear in my eye is the way you start. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I'm with Bobby Heenan, Kurt Hennig, and Gene Okerlund. 3 very close friends, 3 people I think the world of. As a matter of fact, me and Gene and you and I and Wendy will be tipping one up on Thursday of WrestleMania week. Gene gets in at 6. Wendy gets in at 2:30. You and I will be 3 in before they get there. Yeah, but I mean, look at that right there. Look at Kurt. I'm really close to Kurt's son, and the guy that he's getting a little bit of a break now finally on Raw with that group. It's actually pretty entertaining. So, but, important to see what Bobby's gone through health-wise and that. And Gene's got a bad wheel right now, a bad hip. And he's on his 3rd kidney, so. Well, I make no mistake, I left Gene Okerlund off the drinking agenda for the night after this party, after this interview. Yeah, Gene was right there, too, at the bar. Yeah, straight up, dirty, a little bit of olive juice, and two olive stuffed with Roquefort cheese, please.
Hey, so let me ask you, as far as world title wins, where does this rank? Obviously, or I would think it's below the first one when you won the NWA.
It's funny. This would be number 2.
Yeah.
The Starrcade with Harley, when I won it for the second time, would be number 1.
Right.
And then this would be number 2.
Awesome as that.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, this was fun. That's the end of the night.
Thank you, man.
Royal Rumble. We're just a couple of days away from the Rumble again, and a new champion will be crowned. And no matter how it shakes out, it won't be the first time that the person who won the Rumble won the world title, and it probably won't be regarded as being the greatest Rumble ever, because 1992 will still exist. And I hope everybody enjoyed this as much as I did. And this was fun,
you.
Rick. We should do this.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you something. This thing, this coming Sunday is going to be huge. I mean, they've got the components. I mean, Brock is in it, and a lot of guys looking to, with all the injuries, we have some guys that are going to have to really step up to the table, and I think it's going to be great. I mean, I'm thrilled to be there, and of course, Charlotte's got the big match with Becky Lynch, and it's going to be a big deal, sold out. And I'll be waiting a text from you in the next 5 minutes as to what time you're coming into town to meet me and Wendy tonight. Let me know who you want me to call. I'll make it for you. Woo! Thank you, Conrad.
Thanks, Rick.
Love you, buddy. See you soon.
See you, man. See you soon. Thanks for listening to Woo Nation. We'll see you next week.
Woo Nation, thank you. Woo!
Thanks for watching. For Ric Flair and Conrad Thompson, I've been Steve Kaufmann, and this has been Ric Flair, Woo Nation, Uncensored.